I mean, I was just telling Xander I feel it. OTAs, and then after OTAs, we're here. 54 days until the start of training camp. What is it? 93 days until the banner falls at Lincoln Financial. We're here. This is it. I mean, the preparation for the Dallas Cowboys begins. This thing begins now. You heard Vic Fangio talking. We're going to make comments on what he said. I mean, are you good enough? Is the roster good enough? I make this comment to you. People ask me this all the time. By the way, do me a favor. All super chats go to the top. Please hit the like button. Today, Xander will join us at 3:30 as always. 4:30, we will have Howard Eskin. And then John Morgan will be with us from Morgan to Morgan at 5:30 Eastern time. Make sure you hit that like button. A lot of stuff to get to. Packed show. I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you guys something. And I got to tell you this. So some of you know that I'm doing another show, a radio show in Tampa in the mornings from 10 to noon Eastern. And I got to say this to you. Finding content to talk about the Buccaneers versus finding content to talk about the Eagles is night and day. It's night and day. I mean, you have to do some heavy lifting to talk about the Bucs versus talking about the defending world champions. Okay? I mean, you guys are one of the most polarizing teams in the league. And I say that with tremendous respect. I mean, hey, wait a minute. You're the one that hyped up the shitty as Tampa Bay radio. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Flexen. They beat the shit out of you the last 2-3 games. Look, wouldn't know what you're talking about. Messiah, thank you. Hey, man, I watch every day, but you probably don't see me in the chat too much. But what you think about the linebacker depth this year? We're going to get to all that because I am going to comment on Vic Fangio. Old news. Actually, the banner's not old news. Team's new. You do not remotely resemble anything as a roster from 2024. That doesn't mean you're not good. That doesn't mean you're not good. Okay? All right. So Vic Fangio did speak. And boy, did he say a lot. And do we have, once again, there is an indictment on your quarterback, and not by me. Not by me. Funny, though, the things that I say, everyone now is in agreement with. Okay? I didn't make these comments that we're going to say in a couple minutes about Jalen Hurts. I didn't say them. I'm going to read them. But first, let's do the stuff with Vic Fangio. Make no mistake about it. Vic Fangio really did a spectacular job a year ago in figuring out the chess pieces to go on the board. I mean, he did a sensational job, and he's right with how he addressed the media today. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. Great show yesterday. Supers go to the top. Thank you. He was asked right out of the gate, and the brutal honesty of Vic Fangio is so refreshing to cover. It's just so refreshing to cover. Why didn't Bryce Huff work? He said actually he was getting better. He got injured, and then it is so true. Vic Fangio's dead on. You know what happened? Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt. They came on. The reps became more productive. They started producing, and his role diminished. He got lost in the shuffle. That's kind of what he said. He even said this. I don't have any doubt that he's probably going to go out to San Francisco and have success. That didn't sound like a guy who didn't like it. I never heard him make any comments about Hassan Reddick going to the Jets and saying that he was going to have success. So it didn't sound like Vic was down on the guy. He just got lost in the shuffle. That was my takeaway. I mean, there's one thing that guy's going to be is honest. He's not going to give you some sort of Bob Lang scripted script or what have you. He's not going to do that. Here's something interesting. Yahad Campbell. Dude, this guy, he may play him at edge. He doesn't know yet. But he's an inside linebacker. The way he was talking, I don't know who came up with that he was going to be an outside edge rusher, but that's not how he was talking. He was talking about playing him off linebacker. That's not, and I take him for face value. Whoever said he was going to be drafted, and whoever said he was drafted to be a guy who was going to rush off the edge, that's not how that guy came across today. No. I'm working with him with drills inside. He's an ILB right now, and that's where we're going to play him. Then somebody followed up and said, do you think he has the skill set to play outside and rush? He goes, I don't know. We'll see. But right now, he's inside. Dude, I don't know about you. Whoever told you that guy wasn't drafted to take Nakobe Dean's spot is bullshitting you, because that's not how that came out today. Somebody was telling me that they didn't draft Yahad Campbell to replace Dean. Yes, they did. Go back and listen. Yeah, we got him at ILB. Is there any intention of putting him out there? I don't know. We'll see. But right now, he's an off linebacker. He told the stone cold lead pipe lock comments today. Who said he was going to be an edge rusher? Who said he wasn't drafted to take Nakobe Dean's spot? I don't know. That's not what he said. I heard it, and it's there for you on their website. He's an ILB. We got him lined up there. He's doing drills inside. And again, somebody even followed it up with a good question. Hey, you going to try him out there? He goes like this. I don't know. We may. Has he showed? He goes, I don't know. We'll find out. But right now, that guy's an inside linebacker. You don't draft a guy in the first round to be a rotation guy. How many people think that they signed Jahad Campbell and drafted Jahad Campbell to play behind Nakobe Dean? Yes, they did draft him to take his spot. And I'm not saying Vic doesn't like him. Maybe that's what Vic sees, that those two guys will be the heir apparent linebackers, and they'll play linebacker 2-3 years from now. By the way, it also tells me a little bit about Zach Bond. As great as he was a year ago, are they hedging their bets with Campbell too? When it came to Zach Bond, look, I believe Zach Bond's going to have a really good year. But the way that he spoke of Jahad Campbell, here's something else he said. Zach Bond can play both right and left inside linebacker. He's got the skill set to do that. There is no way in the world that there was any conversation today from the defensive coordinator that said he was playing fucking edge. The reporters in Philly even asked, hey, well, does he show any signs? He goes, I don't know. He's playing inside linebacker. Okay? He's playing inside linebacker. By the way, that's a great one. If anything, they would put Bond out there to rush the edge. Get this. This guy says the Eagles have the best linebacker crew when the fucking guy's not going to be ready till August. And he's never stepped on an NFL field. Solid take. Must have saw that in a fucking dream. That must be some epiphany or something. Best linebacking room in the NFL, and you've never seen the guy play. Okay. Now, you may have the best linebacking defensive coordinator. Personally, I say this. I think they're going to put Bond out there and rush. And maybe have JAKIB Campbell and N'Kobe in base. It's not going to be Campbell. It's going to be Bond that's going to rush the quarterback. That was my takeaway. I mean, first thing out of the gate, the first couple comments. What skill sets do you think that JAKIB Campbell have to make you think that he could play? Because I don't know. He's not playing out there right now. He's inside. He's at ILB. I'm working with him after practice. We're doing drills. They're not doing edge rushing drills. They're doing inside linebacker drills. Who in the world ever told you that? That he was playing the edge? I mean, if we're going to cover the team, cover it right. I heard it from numerous people at IP that was the case. Like, that's not what that is. That's not what he said today. And I don't believe that Vic Fangio is a freaking liar. So that was telling. Was telling. Can't stay today. Have back-to-back meetings. Fly, that's awesome for you to check. Have a great show. Thank you so much, Fly. Get them, Sills. Okay? Hit the like button, man. That's really dope of you, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, so that's statement number one by Fangio. JAKIB Campbell's an inside linebacker. He's not an edge rusher. They tried to follow up even more. He goes, no, he's playing inside. Bond's the one that's been out there flirting around. Out there on the edge. Did you hear Vic? That came out of his mouth, not mine. Okay. Yeah, JAKIB Campbell, inside linebacker. There's more to learn. I think he's a good-looking dude. I said it before. I think he's one of the top 15 players in the draft. Says, you think Vic should use Campbell how the Bucs use Levante? Yes, exactly like that. Yes. He's a scraping linebacker. His natural position is inside. By the way, he's a good player, man. Like, Dean's not better than him. And Dean's pretty good. He's showing he can be good. But as Vic said today, that guy's not going to be back for a while. Hit the like button. That was right out of the gate in the presser. He said he might be a pass rusher. I don't know. That doesn't sound like they're working that into his reps and into his teaching so far in OTAs. Okay? Here's Samuel. Was Vic sounding like Big Sills figuring out the starters and backups? Yeah. Yes, he was. Unlike you guys, who have this imaginary defensive football team. Vic is with me. What does it look like right now on June 3rd? It's not awful, and it's not an awful take. It's okay, because he does make great comments. I thought this was a really great presser. He said this too. Hey, man, I feel really good about Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt. That is so great of an endorsement for those two guys. They should go forward. And there is no doubt, have confidence heading into this camp with OTAs, the mandatory OTAs next week, or mini camp. And then when they get into training camp, these dudes are the guys. These player development is so important here. And he goes, I feel really good. But he's talking only about two guys. And when asked about the backup guys, Aziz and Joshua, you know what he said? We'll figure out what they are. He doesn't even know himself. Funny. All the things that I said, the defensive coordinator and I talk just alike. We talk just alike. This here is the telling comment of the presser with Vic Fangio. Okay? We want to keep Cooper in nickel, but we're going to play him and start playing him more in base at safety. They're not playing him at corner. Okay? They're playing him at safety in base. So I don't know where Makuba and Sydney fit in this. He brought up something interesting. What was it, 150 times they were in base? There's no question. One of the things that was very evident, they do not want Cooper DeJean to be off the field at any time. And they don't want him just being in nickel. They want him on the field. Okay? They want him on the field. Okay? They don't want him off. Even those 150 plays. They want him either getting some reps at corner. Funny, I said this to you. Maybe they play him in basic corner, move him back to nickel on third down, and play someone else out there, or they put him at safety. Do you understand the kind of latitude that gives the defensive coordinator to move a kid around? 3 different skill sets. Corner, nickel, and slot are 3 different positions. And safety. They're 3 different spots. Do you know how many DBs can do that? A handful. A handful. Sills, there's my theory. What if Makuba was drafted to replace Blankenship? You know, hey, Kyle, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. There's a potential $10 million nut on that. You think Howie wants to pay him $10 million? I don't know, because if he wanted to, wouldn't he have? You're seeing that a little bit, Prince. The versatility to play safety, then to play nickel, then to put him in a corner, that is more flexibility than Malcolm Jenkins gave you. He's more of a Swiss Army knife, and could be good at all 3 spots. There's your swing corner, maybe. Somebody gets hurt, you drop his ass out there. Somebody gets hurt at safety, or maybe, like I said, and he said today, you start him in the safety position. You have Makuba in him, or you have Reed. How sold are they on Reed? Where's his deal? Or are they going to give him one? Or are they going to let him walk? And if Makuba could be the guy, why would you sign him to a $10 million deal? Ask yourself this. Is Reed Blankenship replaceable? If you put Cooper back there, put him in Reed's spot, and you drop Makuba in there in base, is he replaceable? And is that a $10 million decision? He's replaceable, isn't he? The Eagles have to feel he's replaceable. Or wouldn't they have given him that $10 million contract already? Where is it? I think they're still maybe debating that, what to do there. Highest paid guy and highest paid safeties, they make like what? Between 12 and 17 million? You're going to pay him 10? Man, I don't see Reed Blankenship as a 10. You know, we talked yesterday about paying good players excellent money. Doesn't that sound like that? By the way, liking a guy has nothing to do with paying a guy. You got to pay a guy. Hey, Abe, do the Eagles like Dallas Goedert? Do the Eagles like Dallas Goedert? Do they like him? Do they like Dallas Goedert? Yes or no? They made him take a pay cut. Was it that they don't like him? They like him. They said take a pay cut. Moving him around would increase his pay. Absolutely, because he would have, and he would sell his versatility. Once again, that's how the Eagles look. That's how they look at players. Their definition of a great football player has nothing to do with somebody like Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons does not fit in the Philadelphia Eagle defense. Because he doesn't do all the... Do you know who Micah Parsons would be? Do you know who Micah Parsons would be in the Eagle defense? He'd be a better version of Hassan Reddick. Could rush the passer. He covers better. But they are equal in playing the run. Micah Parsons and Hassan Reddick had the same run-stopping abilities as one another. So that means he's a liability in Vic's defense. Okay? And I would even make the comment that Philly 4x4, he's not that excellent in coverage. Dude, stop selling me Micah Parsons is a great transcending player when your defense is 28th. And you can't stop the run, and you're horrible at it. Stop doing that. Guy's an LT player. Yeah, okay. That was a big comment. Here's another one. Makuba in Sydney. He says there's a competition for sure there. He goes, I don't know what it looks like. I don't know. We're just going to have to find out when it comes to reps what that thing looks like. Okay. He said something that you guys have been saying, and I'll concede on. He's like this. In 2024, there wasn't a ton of experience on the team. Okay? I never said Malcolm Jenkins is better than Cooper DeJean, nor did I. I said he's more versatile. If you're going to play him at 3 different spots, and you're not going to have a drop-off versus playing 2 different spots, I never said you said it. I said he has more versatility. That don't make him a better ball player. The Eagles are using him like they... Yeah, I know what you said. He plays in the slot at safety and sometimes outside. Agreed. Thank you, Prince. Yeah, I'm not. Oh, okay. There you go. Got you, man. I agree with you 100%, Prince. He's not better than Malcolm Jenkins. I'll tell you what, though. How about this one, Prince? I'll agree with you on this. He could be more valuable than Malcolm Jenkins. Do you agree, Prince? He could be more valuable. Dude, this is what I talk about when we're talking about what type of player they look at. They don't look at Malcolm Jenkins. They look at a dude who can do multiple things. That's their definition. Milton Williams and Josh Sweat are the prototypical faces of a Vic Fangio defense. And some of you will take that as, well, that means what? They're better than Jalen Carter? Absolutely no one said that. It's exactly what Prince is saying here. Your value is so important because you can spread out, play multiple positions, and what else does it do? It strengthens your roster. When Prince says something like this, that's not him going, hey, man, Cooper's better than him. That's not what he said. I got what he said. Prince is more like this. Dude, you move a guy around like this and you can slide him into multiple situations. Do you know how important that is on a week-to-week basis when maybe you don't have, like, I don't need to have Cooper DeJean playing on the corner. Here, figure this out. Prince, you tell me if you agree or disagree with your take here on this. Say when you play against Kansas City, I don't need Cooper DeJean at corner. I need him at safety and at the nickel. Why? Because they're a tight end set passing offense, and they throw underneath passes, and they throw wheel routes. They don't throw deep in that offense. Shit, I got Q on Xavier Worthy. Right, Abe. You drop his ass in the slot for Travis Swift. That's what Prince is saying. And when you're able to do shit like that, can I tell you, there's only one other guy I remember in the recent memory that you can move a guy around like that, and that's Ed Reed. That's Ed Reed shit. Do you feel me? Dude, Vic said a lot of great things today. Okay? And I happen to agree. Dude, Cooper DeJean may be a better ball player on your defense than Jalen Carter. Update: the Eagles are now $452 million in growing and void years. Niners $138 million now. No way Howie's signing anyone. Everyone, someone is walking. Q or Cooper. Hang on here. Remember, until they fix the void years, Hollywood, thank you for the super. Until they fix the void years, they'll just keep restructuring contracts and putting phony years on. Redo. Anytime you hear the word restructure, Hollywood, from now on, when the Philadelphia Eagles say restructure, what is that going to always have on the back end of that? What is it going to have? Voidable years. Spread it out. Those are the years that the commissioner doesn't like. $452 million until somebody comes in and slaps those void years out. How he's going to continue this way of paying people? They're pushing their bills down the line. They're kicking a can of that money and that money bag 2-3 years down the line until they fix that. I happen to disagree with John. That's coming. They are not going to keep allowing the Philadelphia Eagles to sign players, draft players, pay players this way, and Howie's found the loophole in that with the voidable years. As a matter of fact, I don't fucking think it's a loophole. I think it's the way you structured how you do these contracts. I mean, I would like to know. And if it's him, he's worth $20 million a year. The other teams are upset. Why do you think the other teams are upset? I'll get back to Vic here in a minute. Why do you think the other teams are upset with the way Howie does this? Why do you think that? Because the other general managers don't have an owner who opens his checkbook at will. And they're pissed off at that. Well, wait a minute. We don't have an owner that wants to do that. Well, that's not a fucking Eagle problem, but they're making it one. Okay? But they're making it one. Okay? They're making this an Eagle problem. Dude, I don't hear anybody belly aching about any other fucking team in the way they do contracts. Most of the contracts that are constructed are shitty deals, like the Dak deal, the Daniel Jones shitty deal. Shit, even Les Snead back in the day with that Todd Gurley stupid deal. Nobody else is complaining about any other team. I mean, nobody's even complaining about the Get this. Do you know the Patrick Mahomes deal is the most convoluted deal on the planet? He may not make annually what Dak Prescott makes, but he's got a $500 million contract. That's almost fully guaranteed. Nobody's bitching about that they signed a guy to a 10-year contract. 3 of those years at the back end are phony years. That's why it's $45 million base. I don't hear anybody complaining about the Patrick. Why do you think the Chiefs haven't renegotiated? Why do you guys think the Chiefs haven't renegotiated a contract with Mahomes? I mean, if there's any guy that deserves a restructuring of his contract, isn't it him? Mahomes doesn't care. He's got $500 million coming. When do you hear Mahomes talking? Somebody asked him the other day about it. He goes, I don't care. Whenever they want to do it, I'll do it. Sure. And by the way, they restructure, adding a couple more shitty years onto it to lower the base. It makes it more guaranteed. That guy's contract is almost fully guaranteed at $500 million. Why would he care? Oh, my base is 45. I'm almost fully guaranteed over the next 7 years. I'm getting $500 million. Why would I care? And that's the problem you're getting. Is that this is now a Philadelphia Eagle problem. This isn't an NFL. The commissioner likes to say that shit and word it that way. Well, the voidable years, teams are using those void. Man, teams? No, you mean the team. The Bryce Huff deal and how he fucking redid that by turning base salary into bonus. Dude, I'll tell you this, man. That analytics department and that salary cap department that the Eagles have, whoever works in that organization, I own a football team. I want to hire every single guy I can out of that building and bring them into my building. They play a version of Moneyball in Philly and pay. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. You're awesome, bro. Tired of the NFL always messing with us. They mess with winners. They did it with the Pats, too. I know a lot of the ways the Eagles are an NFL favorite. They are an NFL favorite. Look at the TV games. But they also hate us nationally. Dude, the NFL hates you. The NFL front offices hate you more than the fans do and the media. Do you understand that? This void year thing proves it. The Yachtman obviously pissed off people at the owners' meeting. Let me go here with you, man. The fucking fans don't hate you. Cowboy fans probably. Nobody hates you like the owners hate you. Well, maybe a little because of the way you're paying. This is an NFL thing. The GMs hate you. Other owners hate you. Players don't hate it because they look at Philly and go, you mean to tell me I can raise my value like Mekhi Becton? And if I go play there a year, I could sign a $12 million contract to play in Jacksonville? Or if I'm Isaiah Rodgers, I can be, get this, if I'm Isaiah Rodgers, I could be booted out of the league for gambling. Listen to me. Isaiah Rodgers is booted out of the league and suspended by the commissioner himself. What happens? That fucker goes to Philly. He's now signed an $8 million annual deal to start in Minnesota. What lesson did you learn on betting on turtles racing? Why would a player in the NFL hate Philly? Fuck that. If I'm a player, I want to go to Philly. My value always increases, or they'll cut you. Every single player last year got a pay raise. Got it. We talked about it. Every guy got a pay raise. Bond got a pay raise. Bond was a $3.5 million a year guy. A special teams dude. He's making 17 freaking 5. Josh Sweat was a 4th round draft pick. He's $20 million annually and drives a McLaren now. You took a guy in the 3rd round. He's got the biggest contract in the history of the Patriots. I don't know. Doesn't sound too bad to me if I'm a player. So this is an ownership and GM hatred. So when you say the league hates you, you bet your ass they do. They hate the way you do business. People are jealous of others' successes. Let me ask you this. How many people think Jason Kelce was jealous a year ago of the Eagles winning the Super Bowl and Cam Jurgens going to the Pro Bowl? How many people believe he was jealous? Oh, I think he was. That's why he rooted for the Chiefs. You think he was rooting for the Chiefs because of his fucking brother? He was rooting for the Chiefs because he didn't want you to win it without him. You know that. Hey, I'm sorry, man, but if I have a brother, my love for my brother's not based on him playing in Kansas City. Hey, I want him to kick ass, and I want him to do this. But even if I didn't play, I'm not rooting for that guy to beat me. Now, if it's my daughter, it's a different world. But if I had a brother and he was playing in Florida and I'm a Hurricane, I'd be like this. I want us to kick the shit out of you. I'm not rooting for you to beat the Canes. That's not happening. I mean, my love's not based on win or losing. You know, that was my brother. Dude, shut up. It's so soft. Honest to God, show some balls. Philly did so much, and now the guy's on IP all the time, and you guys seemingly forgot he rooted against you in the Super Bowl. That is so un-Philly. That guy rooted against you. And IP's parading him around like he's a civic hero. And I'm like, wait a minute. Since when does that go over and get over? Shit, you had a third baseman for the Phillies, or you had a guy talk shit to the fans, and you guys jumped his shit, and you forgave him. I guess it's getting softer. I'd never forget that. The guy rooted against us in the Super Bowl? Fuck you. Oh, but he's a hero. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. All right. Hey, man, I forgive too. Yeah. Okay. You kick my ass every time I say something negative about, or constructive, whatever you want to look at it, about Philly. This guy goes, I'm rooting against you in the Super Bowl, and he's one of your iconic players. Oh, all right. Incredible. Vic Fangio said some superstar things. Okay? Get this. I don't know. I've lost my Dakota rooting ring on who he roots for when it's Chiefs and Eagles. I don't know, you know? I don't know because I need my Dakota book. I've lost all the bullshit lies. So I don't know really. You know, I don't. You'll have to yeah, sure, okay. I bet you I'd like to see how many people have turned that podcast off after he said that he was going to root for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I'd like to know what that number looks like. You know? All right. Yeah, he said that Makuba and Sidney Brown got a competition. He also said, I don't know what that's going to look like. Those guys need reps. Okay? So even if the owners and GMs hate Philly, doesn't the Players Association, all players and agents love? Yes. The players don't want the void years going away. Why? Why don't the players want the voidable years to leave? And John said was right. You can't just take the void years out because the commissioner and the GMs hate it and the owners hate it. That's a collectively bargained thing. If players aren't going to surrender that. More money up front. Amen. Dude, here, Samuel. Let me show you what I'm talking about. That's right, Abe. You sign a contract, and I'm just using the number. 3 years, $100 million. Okay? And you got voidable years on this. They give you all that money. Okay? They give you all that money for those guys, and they give you that money. Then they do this. Tell you what we're going to do. Here's the signing bonus. We're not going to give you full market value on the signing bonus. We're going to pay you, of that $100 million, we're going to give you $18 million. Do you understand how much money Zach Bond made this year? Watch this. Guys, what was the signing bonus that Zach Bond, what was the signing bonus he signed today or this year, this offseason? What was the signing bonus? So let me see here. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. What was his signing bonus? Was it $30 million? Three years, right? That's what I thought it was, 15.5. They take that signing bonus, Pat, 15 divided by 3. You add what that signing bonus comes to per year, and then what you do is you put that on top of his salary. That guy's going to make, this year alone, he's going to make $25 million. With the signing bonus and with his base, Bond's making $25 million. Because for the next 3 years, you're spreading out the signing bonus. And with 2 voidable years on the end, you get to spread it out even further. They renegotiate that after year 2. They add more voidable years, and they keep spreading that signing bonus out. And they give you more money on top of the signing bonus. It's brilliant. And it's less money. That's what the agents love it. Why? You're redoing deals for players that are stars on teams every 3 years or every 2 years. Has it now become a point that almost every other year or every 2 years, Lane Johnson's contract gets renegotiated and restructured? Why? They give him money up front. They front end it, had the void years. They never get to the void years. They restructure. Once you get to the end of a 3-year contract and you use the word restructure, those void years fall off and they add 2 more. It is such a great way. If I'm a player, man, and I'm a great player on Philly, I am going to make a fucking mint in Philly. I'm going to make a ton of money. And some would go, well, you're not making market. Yeah, I am. But I'm having most of that money put in the bank in my prime. The Cowboys would rather have you do this, sign a 3-year contract and pay everyone in the back end. That's why they got to cut guys. Look at the teams around the league, salary cap casualties. Because owners don't want to do what the Eagles do. They don't want to be creative. They're lazy. They're lazy in how they do business. The Eagles are diligent. They make sure they're disciplined. Hit the like button, guys. Appreciate it. See anything else here? He said Zach Bond, Vic Fangio said, could play both sides. Dude, today we learned this. JAKIB Campbell was not drafted to be an edge rusher. That is not true. As of June 3rd, that's not what he said. And if anybody comes away from that press conference saying anything different, they're trying to change what the guy said in the narrative of how he said it. He was asked 3 times about JAKIB Campbell and what they're doing, even drill-wise. Vic said he's working inside drills with him. Cooper at safety, I feel is better. When did that pop in? So you're going to do this in your base. He's talking about having this. Reed Blankenship, DeJean, and yet to be determined at the right corner. And base, now let's be candid here. Base is about 150 plays. But that's what their base is looking like. You know, when you do that and say that, instead of having 2 open spots still, because you got to take DeJean off the field in base, you've kind of closed the gap to where, what's that right corner? He's figuring out the right corner. It's an eat. Now, again, you're not in that base front a lot. So you got to figure out, okay? I mean, you don't want, the key here is not taking personnel off the field. This is what he said about Jordan Davis. He said it had nothing to do with the 4th year or 5th year option. It had nothing to do with that. He said we've been saying this too. I thought that Jordan Davis played well. He said 7 games. I said 5 games. I thought, and why did I say 5 games? Why do you guys think I said 5 games? Because that's what Clint Hurt told me. That he thought he played better in the last 5, including the playoffs. Okay? And that he played better. I thought something was exceptionally disturbing. What was the most disturbing thing that Vic Fangio said about Jordan Davis? What was the most disturbing thing? And I got to talk to Clint about this. What was the most disturbing thing? I don't know, Sills. Didn't hear it. When the holy trinity of Hurts and Howie and Sirianni bring us another Super Bowl, where will you hide? Complete elite. Ready to repeat. Smash the like button. I'm going to duck this question on why he got into shape better. Yes, I did. I'm going to duck the question on why he got into conditioning a little bit better later in the year. Do you know what that tells me? He did not show up this last year in shape. And he said he's probably in the best shape of his life. What's this fucking guy doing? You got a D coordinator saying, I'm gonna duck that question. Those were his words. I'm gonna duck that question. And then I'm gonna move on from it. Bro, he didn't think you were prepared last year. That's Vic Fangio talking. Okay? I don't know. Vic said he was asked a question. Why did it take Jordan Davis to the end of the season to get in shape? Vic's words. I'm going to duck that question. And we're going to duck that right now. I could say a lot of things and I could be here all day. That's what he said. What does that tell you? That's laziness. He's still lazy. Those were his exact words. Okay? Lazy. I'm going to duck that question. Dude, takes no athletic ability to have your ass and your fat ass in shape. If you don't get a 3-year contract extension, it's because you're weak. You're lazy. And you don't give a shit. That's a guy who doesn't live up to his ability because he's weak. Troubling. He did say that. He said that in June. Let's see it. He hasn't had one yet. That's coach talk. It means he only works when required. Yeah, he punches his time card and then goes home. If he stayed conditioned in the offseason, he wouldn't take till December to be worth it. That's exactly what he said. Wait a minute. So Brandon Graham was lazy his first 3 years? And he wasn't in shape? Wow. I didn't know that. So Brandon Graham was lazy and wasn't in shape. First 3 years of his career is what Jay Brown's saying. Is that correct? That's what Jay Brown's telling you, is that they talk the same way about him. No. Well, how am I remember when they talked the same way about BG after 3 years. What the fuck am I twisting around? I'm talking about a guy being fat and lazy. What are you talking about? Either stay with the conversation, don't post something that has no bearing. If Brandon Graham wasn't getting it done because he wasn't playing well, that's one thing. If you're trying to say and add to the conversation that that guy was lazy and fat, Brandon Graham, what are you talking about? Because that's what I'm talking about. Holy shit, guy. I'm going to duck that question. Hey, I think he's going to have a big year. Okay. Thanks, Coach. Hey, thanks, Coach. Thanks, Coach. Here. Jalen Carter. I want to hit on this. Did I write that down? Yes. So Trotter Jr. or Trotter Sr. was on WIP and said and Jalen Carter and Trotter Sr., the comments he made at WIP. I don't know if it was the afternoon show or what have you, but he said that the word is that Jalen Carter doesn't even know how to play the position yet. He's still learning, and that he doesn't even know what he's doing yet. It's true. You can see it. But he's so overwhelmingly gifted that he dominates the same way that Jerome Brown dominates. Okay? He's dominating the same way. When Jerome got in to the NFL with Buddy, do you know one of the things that used to drive Buddy Ryan crazy about him? He would jump out of the scheme of the defense. Hey, I'm going. Hey, I'm doing this. I'm shooting the gap. Jerome liked to shoot the gaps. A gap, B gap, one side of the guard, the other side of the guard, center guard gap. He liked doing that. Used to drive Buddy Ryan nuts. One Monday night game, Jerome got the shit beat out of him because he was just jumping around blocks. Buddy benched him the next week. Bus Davis reminds me of Bozo and Bede. Lazy excuse for an athlete. These clowns be shutting down buffets. I can't believe we have these bums. I thought it was quite a telling comment by Vic Fangio. Coupon outside nickel and at safety. What a guy. No doubt. Thanks, guys, for the supers. Hit the like button. Xander's going to join us, by the way, at 3:30. Howard Eskin's going to join us at 4:30 Eastern. And John Morgan will join us, the legendary John Morgan, at 5:30 Eastern. So let me hit on what Trotter meant about playing the 3 technique. It's true. But I got to tell you, what I saw a year ago is a very undisciplined football player. But he's so gifted that his mistakes are not seen because he's so physically imposing. And he takes guys up. You know why he's double teamed? You know why he's double teamed? Because he's out of position. And he's not playing the technique. You know, you go back and watch. It's really not a Jordan Davis issue. Jordan plays in the technique when he's out there on first and second down. So when he's getting blocked because he's out of position. He'll learn that. What a force that guy's going to be when he starts playing in the structure of the defense. I mean, it's one thing Clint Hurt, it drives him crazy. He'll jump around a block. You notice sometimes you have these running lanes, and you see the running lanes. It drives Clint Hurt crazy. Okay? Well, I talked to the D-line coach, and that's what the D-line coach told me, is that he'll jump around plays. and he doesn't play proper technique. Now, again, he's so imposing. I mean, when he starts understanding it. Now, here, I'll give you this. I never thought Aaron Donald played great technique. Do you know what an advantage that is, too, when you're not playing that? Get this. So this guy says, that's bull. Jeremiah Trotter Sr. said it. Vic Fangio said it. And I said it. But it's bullshit and he knows. Okay. Who do you believe? Master Douche? Or Jeremiah Trotter Sr., Vic Fangio, or me? That's not true. Vic says I agree with the assessment. I didn't make that up. That was a comment by Jeremiah Trotter Sr. But this guy said that's bullshit. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. He's so fucking good. And dude, once again, like when I asked you the question the other day about does your offense have room to grow? You guys said, or no, did they live up to their talent level? You know what you guys said? Yes. So according to some of you, you think Jalen Carter's living up to his talent level. No, he's not. He's got so much more room to grow that this guy's going to be 10 times better. Okay? 10 times better. Ten times better. With an opportunity to be a great one. That's what you're looking at here. No, I didn't see him. I heard him. There's no question on this. He's the best athlete on the field. Okay. Here's something else he said about Kelee Ringo. And I thought it was telling. He was asked the question, what do you make of Kelee Ringo? He goes, he needs reps. We need to find out what he is. Get him the reps. It's our job to find him the reps. We got to get him the reps. Expect him to play a ton in the exhibition games. You know what that's code for? I'm not sure who he is. I can't tell you what the player is yet. That's scary if that's your number one guy at corner right now. He needs reps. He needs reps means I don't know what he is and how good he is. It's not really an indictment on anything. It's just that Vic doesn't know what he's working with yet. Seals, in my opinion, Carter has the potential to become the DT like Joe Green. That's a tough putt for me to go down that line. There's been very few people I've ever seen play the shade and the three technique like Joe Green. He's the greatest defensive tackle ever to play in the National Football League. And by the way, that's not close. 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. He's the greatest Steeler of all time. He didn't get Mean Joe Green because he was a nice guy either. It's one of the truly greatest players in the history of the sport. He could play in any decade. Any decade. I've seen guys, again, you give me him over Sapp any day. Give me him over Donald any day. He's electric against the run. He's spectacular. He's the best double-team D tackle of all time. Carter's nowhere near the player that Green was and taking double teams on. Joe Green threw 2 guys into quarterbacks. So again, get this. I didn't say it. Vic said it. This guy says that I said that he needs more reps. He doesn't know what he is yet. I don't know how good he is. I don't know what we're working with. Vic Fangio's words, dude. Not mine. I said the same shit. I don't know what he is. He's been in the building, and quite frankly, nobody went to him a year ago. By the way, he also threw Tristan McCullum's name in the conversation for safety. That was something he made sure that he echoed that and said, and I know he's a fan of Tristan McCullum. Okay? This is something great that he said also. Depth. I'm not sure. Last year, we had a ton of the same questions. I don't know where we are in depth yet. You know, folks, he is saying the same things that I have said all offseason about your team. Not indicting anybody on June 3rd. All he does is talk like me. I don't know what it is yet. Look at this. Bro, what are you talking about? Put the fucking tape on. This guy's a dummy, man. That's the last time I'm going to you. You're just ridiculous. And how you fucking take things on what I say, I wrote it down verbatim. What the fuck are you talking about? This guy doesn't like what I write down, what the guy says. How fucking dumb are you? Sills on Ringo, he needs reps. Also means we see something in. Right, well, here's the one thing that Bob is right on. If you're going to get reps, that means Vic, or wait a minute too, Bob. This is what he's working with. This is not college football where you have 100 guys and you could just pull the next guy up. This is what he has. So when Bob says that, hey, I mean, giving him reps, at the end of the day, that doesn't mean that. I mean, you're working with what you have on your roster. You don't have an 85-man roster like you do at Georgia. And 5-star players. You've got star players and UDFAs and later round picks. So when Bob says that, you're not working with the same talent pool that you're working with in college. Shit, man. Alabama and Georgia have 5 deep superstar players. Okay? All right. He was asked about CJ. Get this. How about this take by him? Hey, how much influence and say did you have on Gardner Johnson in the trade? Do you know? And it was a flippant comment by him. Did you hear what he said? He goes like this. He goes, yeah, that wasn't my decision. That was Howie's decision, but I'm all right with it. I was like, wow. Okay, guy who had 12 turnovers and helped that team get to 2 Super Bowls. Of all the guys that were knocked off the team, Vic sounded to me today like Gardner Johnson was a non-factor. I mean, he was like, it was Howie, Howie was a salary cap. What was it he said? A salary cap thing? And he goes like this. Yeah, that was like a salary cap thing. And yeah, I was like, okay. I mean, wow. Gardner Johnson did not get a lot of love from Vic Fangio today. He was like, hey, nah, that was all right. Fuck it. Get him off the team. I was like, holy shit. I was like, all right, man. Yeah, of all the guys, he even threw great love out to Bryce Huff. He goes, I think Huff goes out to San Francisco, and I think that guy does some good things out there. CJ Attica, it was a salary cap thing. Well, I'm all right. I was all right with it. I was like, okay. Absolutely great. Nick Fangio told you a lot today, man. That was a great presser. Cooper at safety. I feel better. He'll be a good football player there at safety. So all of you who thought when I said they don't think he could play corner, or they don't think he could be a superstar at corner, or they put him there, they're going to play him at safety. Oh, gee. Bang. Man, what a 2025 Big Sills is having. This is phenomenal. We are having a fantastic start to 2025, baby. That's right. Yes, sir. Playing him at safety and then putting him in the nickel and then figuring out who's going to play at corner. How you doing? That's good stuff there, man. All right. Hit the like button. Way to go, Vic. You gave us a ton of shit to hit on. Now, for the really and the most difficult topic of the day. Xander's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. And I'm going to go over. Hey, listen. Let me get myself in my mind right here, because there's going to I'm going to do something here. Sue, are you here? I'm going to do this right away. You're going to need a ton of these tissues. Are you ready? You're going to need a ton of these tissues. You guys ready? Are you okay? Okay. There's going to be a ton of tissues for your tears and your crying. Okay? It's not a used tissue. It's the light, you freaking jerk. It's not used. Yeah. You know who you... I'm a family man and I'm a good guy. It ain't brown. Where is that brown? Stupid ass. Yeah. Only you would bring an ass wipe thing in here. Anyway. So are you guys ready to wipe your tears? So on June 3rd, not that I would ever tell you who's the best team in the league. You don't know that. Who has the best roster in the league? So let's take a look at PFF. I use this metric. Not always. It's not rocket science. Okay? Who has the best roster in the NFL? Okay? PFF, not Big Sills. So let's read what they wrote about the number one roster in pro football. Okay? The Eagles have the number one roster in pro football. And this is what they wrote about you. Biggest strength, 2024. So much went right for the Eagles during their incredible championship run. Chief among their accomplishments is that their defense led the NFL and PFF overall grade, PFF coverage, overall coverage, and placed second in pass rush grades and PFF run defensive grade. Imagine that. You were number one across the board with Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. And in the back end, you guys kept telling me that Gardner Johnson sucked. You were number one in pass coverage. I thought he sucked. Let me read that again here. Biggest strength to the Eagles in 24. Eagles during their incredible championship run. Chief among their accomplishments is that their defense led the NFL in overall grade. Coverage grade. Didn't you say Gardner Johnson and Slay sucked? While placing second in pass rush grade. Wow. And run defense. Wow. Yeah, those losses probably mean nothing. Okay? They mean nothing. By the way, I didn't write this shit. I didn't write this. Okay? Get this. Philadelphia lost a handful of key contributors this offseason, but still should boost an elite defense under Vic Fangio in 2025. How about that? In Vic we trust. Come on. By the way, I didn't write this shit. I didn't write it. This ain't my take. I'm just going by Pro Football Focus. How you doing? So let's get to the biggest weakness for the Philadelphia Eagles in 2024. Holy shit. This is excellent. Though their defense and running game were elite, the Eagles' passing attack wasn't as consistent as it could have been last season. And much of the burden falls on quarterback Jalen Hurts, who ranked 23rd among qualifiers in PFF passing grades, despite an outstanding final two games. The biggest drop-off came in his dropbacks per game, where Hurts posted a 64.6 non-play action PFF passing grade, which was 27th in the league, which means he's shitty in the pocket. Holy cow. This isn't even Big Sills talking. I'm enjoying it. Wow. Hey, let me say this again. Hey, hold on here, man. I got to take a swig here. Holy. The biggest weakness was Hurts? Is that what they're saying? Oh, my God. Hey, I'm not saying this. Beachy said Nolan stepping up as a leader and as an LB. Hold on for a second here, okay? I'm not saying this. Guess Q and Cooper are lockdown corners. PFF said it. How is a lockdown corner who doesn't play man but 3% of the game? Yeah, okay. Nice try, Abe. Hold on for a minute. Let me read this again. The biggest weakness of the Eagles' championship run, according to Pro Football Focus and not Big Sills. I didn't say this. This ain't me. The biggest problem with the team in 2024 the defense and the running game. Gee. I don't know. It sounds like somebody who's been commenting on that the defense and the running game were the reason you won the Super Bowl. It wasn't because of that shitty quarterback. I mean, it was because of the quarterback. Got to be fair. According to, hey, I can't even believe, man, that they wrote this. This is almost like what I've been saying verbatim since. I mean, defense and the running game were elite. Okay. Yes, we know this. The Eagles' passing game wasn't. Much of that burden falls on Hurts, who ranked 23rd in qualifiers in passing grade, despite an outstanding final 2 games. The biggest drop-off came in drop back, where Hurts was one of the worst at 27th in the league. And these are the same people that were telling me you don't have room for improvement. Oh, man. Still secretly owns me. Me and Collinsworth, right? Hey, JD3, me and Collinsworth, we started PFF, and we both wrote that column on Jalen, right? Of course I do, Sue. What are you, crazy, man? Funnest part of my days being here with you guys. Holy cow. Look at this. I'm sorry, but I got to do it one more time. I have to do this one more time. Let's see here. Eagles have to get this. So the worst guy on the team's Hurts. How can you have the best roster and the biggest strength last year was the defense and the biggest weakness was the quarterback? PFF, baby. Man, this got me tough to swallow. You won the Super Bowl in spite, according to PFF, the quarterback being the weakest link on the team. Is that right? I didn't say it. Yeah. Hey, I didn't say that they were. PFF said they were the biggest weakness. What else did they were? X Factor, Nolan Smith. I think it's Jalen Hunt. Philadelphia lost longtime contributors Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham this offseason, which puts third-year Nolan Smith in the spotlight at edge. By the way, Nolan Smith is the X factor. Is he healthy? I don't know. I heard Vic say he's not ready yet. So hold on. Smith posted a solid 68.3 pass rush grade last year as he began to earn more playing time in Philly's 4 postseason games. He racked up 19 pressures and 4 sacks. If he can produce at that level for a full season, the Eagles will have no problem replacing their departed stars. Look at that. If he can play, according to PFF, not Big Sills, he will have no problem replacing. And what? What do you mean, Sue? I'm just a deliverer of topics. Okay? Well, that's, again, I didn't say if he can. PFF did. I didn't write that, asshole. I didn't write that. Wrong. I didn't write that. If they did. Oh, I see. Somehow that becomes me now. I wrote that on Nolan Smith. No, I just been saying if he could play all offseason, if he could do that for a full year, yeah. Hey, you doing? Wait, one more time. I got to fucking read that, man. Biggest weakness is Hurts. Oh, my God. Oh. 27th ranked quarterback in the NFL. Holy shit. Hey, by the way, this is what PFF did. Hey, he played great for 2 games. The rest of the year, he blew out loud. Wow. Talk about a ringing endorsement. And I didn't even have to write anything. This is totally the best. I never had to write it. This isn't my take. Wait, what? What are you talking about? No, I'm just reading what they posted. Shit, I wish I had seen this the other. I saw this the other day, and I didn't read this thing clearly. Passing attack was not consistent and good. And that falls at Hurts' feet. Oh my God. Time man of the year is the 27th ranked quarterback in the NFL, according to PFF. All right. All right. He said that they're saying he's a liability. I'm not. I didn't do that. I mean, God, I would. Heavens. Read it correctly? Okay, I'll do it. Defense was great, and the running game was elite. Eagles' passing attack wasn't. Much of that burden falls on quarterback Jalen Hurts, who ranked 23rd among qualifiers in PFF passing grade, despite an outstanding final 2 games of the season. The biggest drop-off came in his drop-back, where Hurts posted a 64-6 non-play action PFF passing grade, which is the worst, 28, 29, 30, 21, 30, 5th worst in the league. He's 27th. There you go, Sue. He's 5th worst in the league. Oh, man. I don't know. Jeez. But you're agreeing. Oh, wait. How do you know I'm agreeing? I haven't said I agreed. Did I? I may have. I don't remember. All I know is that this is absolutely spectacular. I never had to fucking add anything here. Yeah. Wow. Let me see. Hang on. Let me go down to another one. Another quarterback. Let's see here. Let's go here. Let me go down to my boy Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Let me here. The 5th best roster in pro football. Okay? Here's the 5th best roster in pro football, the Buffalo Bills. According to Pro Football Focus. The biggest strength, okay, the biggest strength for the Bills in 24, Josh Allen. Allen won his first MVP award in 24 after placing 2nd among quarterbacks with 37 big-time throws and leading the position with a 93.6 PFF rushing grade. He earned a 91.9 overall grade for the season and just in his 5th campaign with a 90-plus mark. The next closest quarterback was Lamar Jackson with 2 straight years of 90. Biggest weakness in 24, the defense that turned opposing quarterbacks into Josh Allen. And boy, that's quite a different conversation that PFF has than to go back here and read the number one team with the number one roster and the best roster in football. And then you hear them go, well, the passing game and the quarterback were the worst part of the team a year ago. But that's what they said. You can't make this shit up. It honestly makes us look as so much better. We made the playoffs 5 straight years, 2-time NFC champs in the Super Bowl with the 27th best quarterback. Absolutely. Load up Tanner McKee. We will win with him too. Yes, sir. Absolutely. If the weakest link on the team is a Super Bowl MVP, I think we're in good shape. Again, like I said, congratulations. I didn't write that. That wasn't my take. I didn't say your quarterback was the shittiest drop back passer in the game. I am pissed off at Xander now. He did not tell me. I think he did this fucking shit on purpose. He didn't tell me what PFF wrote about your boy Wonder. He did not do it. I know now why. Wait, let me look at that. Hey, this is so. I would never say that about your boy. Hey, get this. I heard Xander this morning with John. Hey, John, PFF saying that, Hurts wasn't very good. And I kept going, get out of here. What am I here? What's the words that John McMullen said? I wrote it down. He said, John said this. Yeah, he wasn't playing very well. And they changed. Oh, my God. No wonder we do 10,000 K views when we. Oh, man. Hey, I'm here only to deliver the news. That's all I do. I'm just, I'm an observer here. So, without further ado, and yes, the Super Bowl MVP, who is the 5th worst passing quarterback in pro football, according to PFF, not Big Sills, the Super Bowl MVP. Wow. Man. Then they turn around and write shit like that about him. How dare you? Yeah. All right. Without further ado, maybe Xander can, set PFF right. I didn't even say this. Okay? He hid this from me. This is where I'm going to kick his ass on this here. Why would you I know why he would hide it from me. Without further ado, make sure you guys check out Burst 365. Do a great job. By the way, Big Joe Kraus, too, with them shorts. Make sure you check out after the program. Big Joe dropping them shorts out there, too. And I'm not talking about his shorts underneath. I'm talking about the shorts we post on JAKIB. And the last time that Xander Kraus was on, like, the captain's walk here, we had a big show. We had a big segment. So without further ado, live from Cape May, our boy, Big Z, Xander Kraus.
What's going on, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
I love that back set, man. I do.
Yeah,
I like
nice,
I like
right?
the rocking
I'm sitting on the porch. I just said hi to you. People walking by thought I was talking to them. I'm on a show. Little did they know the people walking by here. I'm on a show, talking to the great people of JAKIB Nation.
So, man, Xander, I'm a little disappointed in you, son. How come you wouldn't tell me? I mean, the number one roster in pro football by Pro Football Focus is the Philadelphia Eagles. Biggest strength in 24, the running game and the amazing defense that they had. Then they turn around and say the biggest weakness is your quarterback. I mean, dude, help me out.
That's not what they said.
Help me understand. Really?
Well,
let me read it to you.
I heard you. You read it 44 times in the last 8 minutes. I heard it. That's not what it said at all.
Help me. What did it say?
It said the worst part of the team last year, the part of the team that they struggled with the most was the passing game.
Oh.
Do the receivers get any blame for that? Does anybody else get any blame outside of what about Kellen Moore? Now we did talk about this morning, and I'm not going to live in fairy tale land. Last year wasn't a prolific passing team, but we won the Super Bowl. I mean, yeah, how do you gauge what you should have done or what you wanted to do versus what you did when what you did is ultimately what brought you all the success? Now, moving forward, I think it's a bigger question, but looking back, who cares? You got a bunch of nerds on PFF who'd rather have a 4,000-yard season than no Lombardi trophy than a 29-03 season and a Lombardi and a Super Bowl MVP and a trip to Disney World and a GQ magazine and a Met Gala and a Men's Health and all these different things. I mean, Jalen is accomplishing things a different way, and I don't think that's a problem, but I do think moving forward, he's going to have to throw the ball more.
Well, Saquon Barkley said something to that. I mean, let me give the quote exactly here on Saquon here. Then we're going to get to Vic here, but so Barkley, what did he say here? I want to make sure because people question sometimes how I see things. Here it is. We have the recipe. We have to stick to it. Gee, does that mean limit the passing attack and remain feeding the big dog, the big pill, and the big yards? Sticking to what we do best. That's the recipe. It's not through him. It's through, you got it, Mr. 99. How you doing? Isn't that what he's saying?
Well, why is that a bad thing?
It's not. Like I said, PFF's not wrong. You're not going to pass the ball. You're not going to pass your way to a Super Bowl. You're going to run your way to one.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I don't think you're going to every time. We didn't run our way to 1 in 22. We were within a play away from winning the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that play goes our way at the end of that game, is this conversation even relevant? I mean, it's not like last year was the one of, and every other year was 9-7 or 9-8. I mean, they went to the Super Bowl in 22 with Miles Sanders. He's like the fourth string in Dallas right now, which goes to show you that most of the running backs that we had were hot garbage, and they were made okay because of the Eagles' offensive line.
Okay, so do you think Jalen Hurts has gotten better since 22 in the passing? How about this? Not Jalen Hurts. Do you think the Eagle passing game has gotten better since 2022?
No, it has not. It has not. But it's also very different. You agree? I mean, you had RPO heavy. It was a way different offense. And I think, it's like a bow and arrow, Sills. Before that bow can go launch 100 yards and strike its target, what do you have to do? You have to pull it back. You got to load it up. I think Jalen was loading up. Can you imagine this? Jalen Hurts is loading up the bow.
Oh, yeah.
Learning how to read defenses, doing everything at the line of scrimmage, learning progression reading in the NFL and taking that next step. And they're able to win the Super Bowl while he's doing it. Can you picture what is to come for the Philadelphia Eagles if Jalen Hurts continues this ascent, Sileo?
Absolutely. I mean, he's got nowhere to go but up. I mean, he's the 5th worst passing quarterback, according now to PFF and not Big.
He's not the 5th worst passing quarterback.
27. It said right here, 27th. He was the worst passing rate.
No.
Tied for 27th.
Wait, so do you think wait. So do you think the Eagles should have thrown the ball more now just to not be 27th and taking the ball out of Saquon Barkley's hands?
Absolutely not. They should stick with what they do. And the only thing they do really great, that's run the ball.
I think this is more of a fair question moving forward than it is looking back. I think looking back, it's stupid because they clearly pivoted after week 4. It's fair to say that. They also didn't have A.J. Brown for 3 of those games. They were missing Devontae in one of those games. They were missing Lane Johnson in one of those games. And the passing offense, yes, struggled very much. Once they decided to shift to find momentum while they were 2-2, they found something that they never needed to switch off of because it worked so well. So last year I can look and say, well, it wasn't great, but it never dictated us to go back. And the only time it did, we were successful versus Pittsburgh, versus the Bengals, versus the Commanders, and versus the Chiefs. So last year, it didn't dictate it. Now, this year moving forward, I think it's a bigger question because I do think teams are going to try and take away the run. And now you're going to have to win games and move the ball through the air more so than you had to last year.
Let me ask you a fair question then. By the way, all supers will be read at the end. I promise you guys. Also, please hit the like button. Is this not a fair question to ask? How many NFL teams do you think there are where you would say something like this? We pivot and we want to pivot away from our quarterback. And we want to pivot to another position on the team. Do you think that that's a problem when you're talking about how you're going to approach year in and year out? You said something this morning, which kind of, it's totally right. And we've been on that line too. Every year Hurts has been a different quarterback. And there's no question. Xander, I actually now believe that's starting to develop into a strength. Okay? When you can pivot like that, I think that's more becoming where that's becoming a strength, and you're going to have to learn to live with that because of the coordinator changes. With that being said, when I hear this, I'm going to pivot away from my quarterback to a running game. There's no team in the NFL like that. Yeah, and that's what makes the Eagles, again, that's what makes the Eagles' construction and how Howie has built this team so different and so unique. It's a unicorn in the league. Nobody in the league is going to pivot away from Joe Burrow.
Yeah, but the problem is that philosophy leaves out context where the Eagles did miss many of their key players in the first 3 weeks. Yes, they did pivot. And you can look at it now in hindsight and say, no other team would have done that. But the moment wasn't a bad decision, even if the plan was ultimately to get back to that when everybody was healthy and things were firing on all cylinders. They ran the ball so good, Sileo. It would have been a gross adjustment to go off of that. Okay. It would have been coaching malpractice to do that. So their circumstance, again, was dictated by the success they had on the football field. If you said if they fumbled out or they went 10-6 and lost in round one and they did it by running all year and never went back to the passing game, we could sit here and say, yeah, Jalen failed and he couldn't do what he needed to do to win. But that's not what happened because when they did take away Saquon, he did succeed. Now, again, I'm not in fairy tale land, though, where I'm saying, hey, it's all fine. You're never going to have to throw anymore. What you do is perfect. Everything is perfect. He did struggle last year throwing the ball at times. It wasn't his best year throwing the ball, but the season, that's what it called for. And the fact that we were able to win with that and his first year doing all those things at the line of scrimmage, I think it shows you that the sky is nowhere near breached on this football team. And that is a scary, impressive thing, but they still have to realize it.
You think he would have won the Super Bowl if Miles Sanders was the running back?
No.
Okay.
Nope. No.
Now it's fair to say, do I think Barkley has the year that he had without Hurts in the backfield? I don't think that either. Okay, I think people fear that running game with him too. Don't you think they fear him more in his ability to get out in open space than they do with him throwing the ball in open space?
Who was Saquon?
No, Hurts. I fear that guy breaking one loose on 3rd and 10 than I do with him dropping back on 3rd and 10.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's not his game, but he's also gotten better at that part of his game. I mean, last year they got better at it, but it was limited to the go route, so you're gonna have to take another stride in that area. But no, I mean, look, that's still, again, you can't change the stripes on a zebra, dude. You know what I mean? Like you're Big Sills, and I'm not going to make you Johnny Mack, and I'm not going to make Johnny Mack Big Sills, and I'm not going to make Jalen Hurts Joe Burrow, and you're not going to make Joe Burrow Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is going to thrive with what he does. That does look different than guys like Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, or any of these other guys. but what he's done to this point has worked. So who am I to sit here and say, I don't like that style, so you shouldn't do it? Well, he can show up his ring finger to me and say, hey, dude, sorry for my language, fuck you. And I would have to sit there and say, touche.
Don't you think Jalen Hurts is the most unreplaceable player on that offense?
I do.
Me too.
Yeah, I do.
Because the run and the pass, when needed, I have fear with him running, right? So, I mean, you're going to get, hey, dude, you can go find me, and I don't know about another AJ, but you can find me another A receiver. You can maybe get me Derrick Henry or Saquon, but replacing a guy who fits what you do is a hard proposition. Because if it was that easy, the Dolphins, the Jets, and all these other shitty teams would replace quarterbacks every single year. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. What about him being a chameleon too? Like, what about his ability?
That's a huge asset.
Right. I mean, I do think he doesn't get enough credit for that. And so many
Agreed.
people, again, fall into the habit of, well, I expect it to look like this, or I want it to look like this. And when it doesn't, they're so quick to jump on it versus saying, boy, the team needed Jalen Hurts to do this today, and he did it. The team needed Jalen Hurts to do this today, even if it didn't look good on him, and he did it. Now, again, I'm not in fairy tale land to say Jalen Hurts never had a bad game. I mean, he played terrible objectively in the Rams playoff game. Absolutely awful. He played awful in the Packers playoff game. All right. I'm not going to sit here in delusion land, but the team, the way it's built, and when they did ask him to step up and take the load, take the team to the finish line, he did do it. So I'm having a hard time criticizing it, but I do understand what you're saying. I mean, classic Sills falling into the PFF bullshit,
I'm just reading shit that's posted.
A bunch of
online.
nerds.
I'm just reading stuff. All right, let me get to Vic Fangio, the fine paisan in Philly here, the DC. Wow. Did he say a lot of shit today, bro?
Yeah, he did.
So
he always says a lot of stuff. That's why I like him.
Dog, when he went like this, Jahad Campbell, we're playing him at inside linebacker, and somebody asked him, what about his pass rushing capabilities? He goes, well, I don't know. We got him at ILB right now, and that's where we're playing him. And we're doing drills with him right now. They re-asked the question again, do you see him out there? He goes, I don't know. We're playing him at inside linebacker. I don't get the impression, Xander, that they're flirting around with him as some sort of edge rusher. They're looking at him as an off linebacker. Those were his words, and that makes me believe, well, they're either going to move him into Nakobe Dean's spot, or they're going to take potentially Zach Vaughn, maybe on third down, and rush him off the edge out there and use that kind of threesome in that room there like that. I didn't get the impression that they were using him. Now, he said they may see. We'll find out maybe. But he goes, right now, he's an off linebacker. That guy was drafted to replace somebody and to play inside, not to be an edge rusher.
Do you think this goes more to the conversation we had recently about positionless players on defense?
Yes.
Like, you see, if you have that thought process with Zach Vaughn, who was just first-team All-Pro as a linebacker, and you're going to apply that to him, you got to think they're applying it to everybody on the defense. I mean, why would you move a first-team All-Pro or change what a first-team All-Pro does, right? I mean, the only way to do it is if you have the other guys in the room to, or you believe using that player differently will make the whole pie, the whole puzzle, for lack of a better word,
definition of great player.
Right. It's true. It's true. It's
versatility.
interesting. I mean, he kind of said the same with Cooper DeJean, right? He was like, I'll move Cooper DeJean all over the place, basically, is what he said. Could play safety, could play outside, will play, in the slot in nickel or in nickel. So I don't know. It does seem like they're taking that approach for sure.
Boy, I tell you, I was a little bit taken back by that because, I mean, I heard people on the radio in Philadelphia trying to tell me that Jahad Campbell's going to be some sort of like elite pass rusher, and Vic's like, no, we're playing him inside. I'm even working drills with him on the ILB, and that's where he is right now. Right. And he goes, Bond can play both, but we're working him off ball. And I was like, holy cow, that's not what I heard draft night. All right, there was something else before I get to Cooper.
The
That
Campbell
was-
pick is interesting. So
What's that?
the Campbell pick is interesting.
It is, because I don't know
It's-
where he's going to line up yet.
There's a lot of blurred lines there. Like, I don't know. I can't get the read on one, when he's going to be back, two, where he's going to be, and three, like what the purpose of using their first round pick on him was. I'm not doubting that it was that they have
I'm
the
not
right
either.
idea. I'm just questioning and curious to see how it all looks when the thing does come together.
And get this, you're not drafting a guy 31st to have him as a rotation piece. That's not, that guy's
No.
taking a job and he's going to be a starter
Yeah,
somewhere. I mean,
Absolutely.
this was one of the most troubling things I have ever heard about a player on this roster. And it goes here. Hey, why did it take Jordan Davis so much time to get into shape? And he was in better shape at the end of the year. Fangio's direct quote. I'm going to duck that question. I could sit here all day and talk about my thinking on that, but I'm going to pass on that. Are you trying to tell me this guy's lazy?
No, that's not what he was trying to tell you.
I'm going
was
to duck
trying to-
that question why his conditioning got better later.
His entire point, and Vic has talked about this in the past, his entire coaching philosophies and beliefs have zero alignment with the modern day game, with the lack of practice, with the lack of hard work, with the lack of everything that goes into offseason. That I believe Vic was talking more about that than something specific about Jordan Davis. Doesn't mean he
Everybody else
doesn't.
was in shape.
That's not really true.
Really, who was out of shape?
Then we have this issue with Jalen Carter year one, too.
I don't remember Jalen Carter being out of shape. I saw 17 weeks of dominance. I don't remember that guy.
His first year. Not his first year.
No, I'm talking last year. I don't remember that guy. What are we in now? Year 4 with him going into?
With who? Davis?
With-
Yeah, Davis is year 4.
There's no excuses to not be in shape. And to hear the DC go, well, I could be here all day why it took him until the latter part of the year to be in condition. Every single football player on that field is a versatile player that was called on to stay on the field and play in multiple fronts. You have to have exceptional conditioning to be able to do that. Now, to your point on one end, can you fall out of shape because you're only a situational player and being a first and second down
That's
guy?
a good question.
Okay, that is true because
I would say that no. See, while that could be true, that I would say would be an indictment, because if you're not prepared to go in your role, what are you doing? Right? Like, if you can't even be prepared for a limited role, why would you ever expect anybody, fans, coaches, other players alike, to look at you and say, you deserve more reps or you are growing into this player? If you can't handle that workload, and I don't think that's the case, but if you can't handle that, then I got an even bigger problem with that.
I like I said, ask John that question tomorrow, because when he paused and said that I want to pass on that,
yeah, I'm gonna.
That
I'll
to me,
definitely ask John.
that was definitely something for me. That was a conditioning comment. That was more being in shape. And
Yeah, but don't you remember last year, the first year Fangio was here, he talked about how he wishes, well, if it were up to me, we'd be on the practice field all the time. So he
made a reference to that, going, some think around here we don't have to practice enough.
Well, that's not just Philly, man. That's a lot of the league right now. That's probably 25 teams. I mean, there's a couple left maybe that don't have that line of thinking. I mean, it's all collectively bargained. And here's the other problem with it. Hey, Vic, let me ask you something, Vic. And I'm not questioning you, but let me ask you this, Vic. Would you rather have Jordan Davis in a better condition for the first 5 weeks, or would you rather have most of your defensive starters available for you in January and the game in February that you played last year? So I get it. It's not something you should have to pick one or the other, but the Eagles' philosophy has worked so well, it would almost be impossible to argue against it, because the 2 Super Bowls they went to, we were unprecedentedly healthy in those games.
Yeah, I agree with that. But don't you agree, in that Tampa game, Jordan Davis looked like a fat ass?
He did, but nowhere he didn't look like a fat ass in the last game of the year.
Okay. That was the point of the question to him. Why did it take him so long?
Well, yeah, then maybe Jordan Davis sipped too many mojitos, drank too many, drank too many beers, and had a few too many tacos. I don't know. Maybe he was doing what I'm doing, and he was sitting in the Great Cape May with his feet kicked up on a rocking porch a little too many hours.
I think that situational playing him only on first and second down where he doesn't. I think when you're a big dude like that, dude, I mean, and listen, I agree with you. That's no excuse. Okay? Too many Snapples for the kid. All right. How about this one, Big Z? Hit the like button, guys. Supers will read them, I promise. This was telling. There is no doubt what they're going to do here this year with Cooper DeJean. He said this about him. Yeah, man. I think he'd be a great safety, and I think he's going to excel there. And he said this in base. They're either going to have him line up there or potentially out on the number. Now, he made a great point where he said they were only in base 147 times, I think I heard him say, or 157 times.
Yeah.
That they were in base, but there is no doubt they don't want him off the field.
Yeah, but this is why terminology is so stupid. Like, how is your base defense? You play 150 snaps. I mean, what? That's not your base defense. That you played nickel 70% of the times. That would be your base, but that's terminology in the NFL for you.
I guess, and it used to be the complete polar opposite. You were in base like 90% of the time, not nickel. Right. Now you're in third down packages like nickel and dime now. So what do you make of the fact that they're saying this? Putting him in the safety position. And I'll ask you something here. This is just me asking you, and I'm being Big Sills, and you tell me if I'm fucking wrapping this baby around the old oak tree here. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Well, if I find out that Makuba can play and I put Cooper DeJean in the safety position and both those guys look like they're real good, why again would I pay Reed Blankenship $10 million?
Who's going to play your slot?
Sydney? I don't know.
Keely? So it technically doesn't answer the problem of the same question if you kick Cooper to the outside.
Okay, Mike. Okay, so what are you doing with you put Makuba over in the slot, right? And then you put Reed and him over there, or do you put?
Wait. You said
I did.
You said if you move Cooper to safety,
right? Well,
he
thinks he's going to be great there.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree with him. I think Cooper. By the way, just put this out there. I think Cooper would be excellent at all 5 spots in the defensive backfield. All right, I do. That's just my feeling. I'm not saying he's proven all 5. I'm saying I believe he would be good at all 5. Now, if you moved him to safety and then Makuba played safety, now you're just creating a hole at the slot. It's the same thing of saying, why not kick Cooper DeJean to the outside? Well, again, you're going to have that slot cornerback. What if you kicked Cooper to the outside, you brought Makuba down into the slot, and then you sign Justin Simmons, or you look to see if Sidney Brown was healthy next to Reed Blankenship. Now you have Quinion, you have Cooper, you have Makuba in the slot, you got Reed, and you got either Sidney Brown or Justin Simmons. That is a good secondary.
I don't know if they're going to give that kid $10 million.
Reed?
Yeah.
Now, again, I don't know either. I questioned it as well based on the contracts they have coming up. But I'll say this. Every once in a while, John will answer questions to me, and he has like a distinct look on his face. And the last time I talked to him about about Reed Blankenship, about the contract, he basically looked at me and said, it's going to get done. So I don't know if that means he's got a source, if somebody's talked to him, if somebody told him inside the building it's going to get done. But I'm taking that to the bank right now and assuming Reed Blankenship is going to get done. On the same breath, though, I don't think you're out of question to ask, is that worth it?
He's up for it right now.
With Carter, with Nolan, with Cooper, with Quinion, with all these guys coming up in the future, you can make an argument, maybe not. But at the end of the day, every contract's like 2 years, dude. So you get Reed for 2 years, you're 2 years out until – and remember, like, we're going to pay Jalen Carter next year. But when are those cap hits really going to kick in? The Eagles are masterful. Exactly. So I'm not really that worried about paying him right then and there. It's really more about the cash because, I mean, how much cash is the Jalen Carter deal going to demand? $100 million guaranteed? If he gets 4 years, $35 million, that's $140 million. I think it's around $100 million guaranteed, so that's a big nut right there. Then you have Nolan, if he gets $25 million a year. So it's the guaranteed money that's going to come into play, but I think Reed gets done, brother. I do.
But isn't Reed now? Wouldn't he be a free agent at the end of at the end of the 25 season and it's 26? Isn't he a free agent then? Would he become a free agent? You would let him go into 25 without a deal?
Well, yeah, I guess this is his lame duck year, right? Yeah.
So you're gonna So are you gonna sign this guy by the time you get to trade?
What if the deal comes? I mean, this is the time I think a deal like a guy like Reed would get done. Maybe between
now
training camp. No, maybe between now and the start of the season. Like I could see an extension coming during camp or after camp a little bit. September. Here's the other problem with the Reed Blankenship conversation. All right. You remember last year when Slay went on the podcast and somebody asked him, when you're not out there, who's the leader of the secondary? And he said Reed Blankenship. All right. And everybody got mad at him. I don't know why. It's the truth. Reed's the communicator back there. It's not you, CJ Gardner-Johnson. It was never you, CJ Gardner-Johnson. I don't know why you take everything so personal. CJ Gardner-Johnson, as great of a player he was, he truly acts like a chick sometimes. But and he actually, took it to heart. But if you take away Reed, you took away Slay. Like, who do you have now you have Makuba, you got Quinyon and Coop, you got Sidney Brown, you got Mac McWilliams. Like, who is communicating, dude? Who is the guy that understands the communication and the savviness that comes with the Vic Fangio defense? Who understands that? I'm not saying the other guys don't, but are you putting too many eggs in the get younger basket? Now you're telling me Slight and Reed are gone? I mean, come on, man. Eventually you're going to go too far. So I don't think they're going to get rid of Reed. I really don't.
How about this though, man? Would you rather pay $8 million? Would you rather pay $6 million for Justin Simmons to play the other safety next to Cooper DeJean, or would you rather pay $30 for Reed over a 3-year deal per annual year plus the signing bonus?
Wait, what was the first one? Reed for
okay. Would you rather pay 1 year or $6 million for Justin Simmons, or would you rather pay $30 million at $10 million annually plus a signing bonus to a guy that you could replace?
Yeah, but
I think Ray Blankenship's replaceable.
All right, and I think to answer your question, to answer your would you rather, I think it's Reed Blankenship, and it's not even effing close. Because, by the way, I mean, you say 30 million. It's really going to be a 2-year deal, as all their 3-year deals are, where you can get out for 2 years. It's probably going to include $16 million of guaranteed money, right? $8 million a year, maybe in guaranteed money. It's not really going to be that big of a nut, and you can get the guy under contract for the next 3 seasons. I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, why create so much
top safety?
But why create so much turnover there, Sileo? That's a good price.
Yeah, but
that's a good price.
I don't see that guy as the top safety.
So you think you can get cheaper and get better?
And that's top.
Or are you admitting that you'll get worse, but you'd rather be cheaper?
I don't think you're going to get worse. I don't think Vic thinks it either. Did you hear what he said about Gardner-Johnson today? Hey, it was a hobby thing. I had no problem with it.
Boy, you're pinching pennies like there's no tomorrow.
What's that?
You're pinching pennies like there's no tomorrow.
Not me. I'm not pinching pennies like there's no tomorrow. Howie is.
No, he's not.
Really?
You're saying get rid of Reed. Howie hasn't got rid of Reed.
Yes, you did. This entire offseason's been about money.
We got rid of the CIS bot, CJ Gardner-Johnson, who gave up more touchdowns and coverage than anybody in the secondary.
The entire offseason on defense has been about money. It's not. What do you mean? Look at
because we have a $200 million offense.
Okay, well, they're pitching money on defense.
And you're advocating to pinch even further.
No, I'm looking at a guy going like this. Is that a guy I want to pay $30 million to? I don't know. I think I can replace that guy.
I'm not saying.
Cooper, I can't. And by the way, why would I draft a guy in the second round at safety? And if I'm talking about playing Cooper DeJean at safety.
But I think Reed is the classic case of, the old saying of like, you're more valuable basically where you are than you are, somewhere else. I think he's the perfect example of that. I'm not saying you're wrong or that he's not he's like this top 3 safety that can't be. I'm not saying that. I think his value to the Eagles and what they're going to have to pay him to keep sustainability at that position and in the backfield, in the secondary, on this defense is worth the price of admission for me. Doesn't mean Howie it is for Howie, but I think they're going to pay him, and I think it's worth it. I'm not saying, again, I don't think he's like unreal, but I do think he provides a good purpose and a good reason to keep him on this Eagles defense.
So what'd you make of Trotter Sr.'s comments about Jalen Carter? I make a comment like that the guy's so dominant. He's so great. And Trotter's like this. He doesn't know what he's doing, and he's learning to still how to play. Isn't that what we're kind of talking about with Jalen Hurts a little bit? Jalen Hurts is learning how to set pass protections. He's learning how to become a better player. And look at his resume. Why can't you make the same distinction for a guy like Jalen Carter, who's also still learning how to play the position? And all Trotter Sr. was trying to do was say, the ceiling is so high for him on how great he can be. And yet people think you're taking a swipe. It's not a swipe, dude. This guy could be a dominant guy that's in the Chris Jones kind of when he was in his prime, that kind of guy, a better maybe than even Fletcher Cox. It's not a rip. It's more of what this kid can still end up being. Vic Fangio said it today. I agree with that. Why do people have such a hard problem with that? I mean, he's got so much room for improvement, man.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I mean, is anybody really in the chat or somewhere on Twitter or anywhere really gonna sit here and question what Jeremiah Trotter knows about the game of football?
Or Vic?
Yeah, or Vic. I mean, come on, that's not a swipe. If anything, I agree with Silly on this, where it shows you how good Jalen Carter can be. Like, he is dominating players, and he still hasn't really learned because, it kind of goes into like the dual threat quarterback that we talk about. Why hasn't the dual threat quarterback, or why is the traditional dual threat quarterback a little bit behind your average pocket passer when it comes to reading defenses and throwing the ball? Well, they've been able to run around everybody their entire life, even through college. Same with Jalen Carter. He's dominated everybody at every level. He never even had to say, hey, man, if you don't have perfect technique and fundamentals, you're not going to win. He's been able to dominate. So he is taking those next steps. I don't think that's a problem at all. I mean, did somebody take that as a negative problem? That's not a negative comment.
Took it. Okay. Yeah, they did. They took it a little bit here. They took it and said that, well, you're capping on the kid. And so we're going like this. We're saying, no. That's not what Trotter Sr.'s saying. What Trotter Sr.'s saying is that this guy has so much more room to grow here. All right, let me throw this at you here. What'd you make of the comments when Vic said this? He was asked a question about Keely Ringo. Now, I've been saying the same thing. When I hear this, you tell me if you take it the same way. He says, who is Keely Ringo? He goes, well, I don't know. He needs reps. That's not an indictment on anything, but he's been here a bit. Do you agree? He still doesn't know what Keely Ringo is, and he still needs to see this guy get in the game.
Sounds like he has a lot of questions, Vic Fangio, on this defense. Sounds like he has as many questions as the great Big Sills on this defense.
That's right.
I mean, he's got questions on secondary. He's got questions there. He's got questions at corner. He's got questions on the edge rushers. He's got questions on Jalen Carter. I mean, sounds like Vic Fangio thinks like you do in terms of, you need to see it with players before you can crown them or before you can go into the season assuming that they're going to be something that they've never proven to be. Yeah, I mean, I think he's got some questions, but I don't think they're unfounded. I mean, Keely Ringo, what have you seen? I haven't seen anything.
I don't know.
Outside of great football in the SEC, which he very much did. All right, he was a great cornerback in college, which does not translate fully. By the way, speaking of corners, did you see that video of Travis Hunter today at Jags camp?
I did.
Fucking A. That kid is going to be a stud. That might be one dude. Or before the draft, I remember questioning on the show and just saying, can this guy really play both? I don't really think he can do it. I think it's kind of gimmicky. I don't know, man. I might be eating my words on Travis Hunter. That dude, the play, he's tracking the ball perfectly, flips the hips perfectly, knocks the ball out of midair, and then he proceeds to intercept the ball as it's falling to the ground. I'm like, holy shit, this dude can play.
He is a spectacular. You see why they moved up to 2 with Cleveland to get that guy. And I think they're going to play him on both sides of the football. Last one here, before we read the supers here, Howard Eskin's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. He's right in this essence, Vic Fangio. He said that they had just as many questions a year ago as they do now. Vic says it reminds him a lot of a year ago with all these questions. So I'll ask you, Xander, did you feel better about, if you can remember, a year ago going into the 24, coming off the disastrous 23 defensive effort at the end of the year? Or do you feel better coming off the Super Bowl effort with the new faces and the new people that they've brought in with this group on trying to find replacements and putting them in the right positions? Where do you feel better with?
Definitely this year. I mean, it's not even close. I mean, my first 2 off seasons on air for this team have been like the polar opposite of the spectrum on each season, right? Like last year, you collapsed at the end, 1-8, or 2 years ago. It was an off season of what the heck are we going to be? Are we going to be the 22 team, or are we going to continue our collapse? We had no idea. We had questions everywhere, questions on the defense, questions all over the board. And they were all, I think, fair. And then this year you have a team that got younger, got cheaper, and dominated their way to a Super Bowl. And they're bringing back 10 of the 11 offensive starters. And I think the core players on defense, while they did lose players on defense, I acknowledge, I think your best players on defense, for the most part, outside of Josh Sweat, are returning. So you have question marks, but I think your core is intact. And I think you're positioned well for not only success this year, but success into the future. And I trust Vic Fangio a lot more than I trusted him even before last season when we hadn't seen him in Eagle Green. So I feel much better this season, Sileo. It's not even close.
Much of the burden falls on the quarterback of Jalen Hurts, who was 23rd ranked in qualifying. 27.
Listen, again, my take on this is not that it's crazy. My take on it is looking back at last season and wishing it went different is simply abhorrent and stupid. And to be honest with you, egocentric and I don't even know what, self-righteous, because how can you sit here and say, and I'm not saying you, I'm just saying in general,
PFF.
Say, yeah, right. PFF say they should have done it differently last year. Dude, they dominated their way to a Super Bowl. They had 150 points in the playoffs, the most ever by an NFL football team. Again, stupid. Now, moving forward, yes, I do think it's going to require a different version of Jalen Hurts to win at the level we did last year.
That comes off to me like they're saying they won the Super Bowl in spite of his inability to be balanced in the passing offense. That's their take. It's not, again, the end of the day, February 9th. You could just keep throwing February 9th to people. I mean, that's where we go here.
Right.
All right. So let's
do
do the
some supers
here, brother.
Prince, I saw you saying you want me to get the one you sent earlier too. Kyle says, what reporter that said Davis shouldn't dress for the game? I have no idea.
I have no idea. I didn't hear any of that.
I don't know.
That was a year previous. I think you're talking about Baldinger saying that he shouldn't have been on the field. That was 23 when he fell apart. Jalen Carter fell apart too, his rookie year at the end of the season in 23. So both of those guys, what would Ed Kratz saying? They were giving up 145 yards a run per game with those two guys playing D tackle. So it wasn't just Davis that fell on his face.
James M. What's up, James? James M. was stirring the pot yesterday. Is he back to stir the pot, or will he go buttercup on us? Why is it for people to understand that if they can't stop it, then why would I stop it? It's not that he can't. We just don't until they make us.
But again, that's Philly 500 saying that every time I bring that up. So you don't want to pass the ball because you don't have to pass the ball.
Well, no, but you do agree last season did dictate and allow us to do what we did for as long as we did.
Because he was turning the ball over in the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, but you agree that when they did pivot, and we don't know their plans, like when they pivoted, was that a long-term or was that we got to get this on the rails right now, so let's make a change for week 6, right?
No, I don't think that
it worked so good they never went off it.
I don't think that was a long-term pivot. I think I
don't either, and I think the results made it become a long-term.
It kept them. Do you remember what I said, Xander? I said at the beginning of the season, do you think they've changed the fundamental ways that they're going to approach how they're going to win games? Because Barkley was great. He was very good in the first 4, but they were still contradicting themselves with trying to throw the ball still 35 times a game. And then they went into that bye, they came back, and they started throwing the ball 19 times a game. So they cut down about 7 to 10 attempts per game after that. They totally changed. I don't think that was a long-term thing. I think that was something that just evolved as the season went on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree. JD3 says, who needs to pass when he can run like J-Mac from the National Football Show? DK say, coming again, tell J-Mac to stop hiding. I'll have to tell him. JD3, I'll make sure I let him know that you were in here saying that. Okay, brother?
Thank you very much, JD3, for the super. Appreciate it.
Steven checks in. What's up, Steven? If the weakest link on the team is a Super Bowl MVP, I think we are in good shape. He's not the weakest link on the team. That's insane.
That wasn't my take. It's, PFF said that, the passing game, the quarterback is the 5th worst guy in the pocket. I don't know.
When I say PFF, what do you think of?
I think of Howie's guys sitting in the analytics department trying to come up with some protractor going like this. I think we should run the ball on 3rd and 4. I don't know. They're geeks.
Yeah, no, there's 2 different types. There's that guy with the protractor and the mathematician, and then there's the dude with the bowl of cereal whose stomach's hanging out over his belt. And he wants that. I
don't know. That's not how I look at those.
JD3. I think we got this one, but here we go. We did. We got that one.
Yeah.
Let me get to Prince's. Prince wanted me to read one about Kelsey because he said your dumbass take on it was brutal.
Yeah, well, don't root against the Eagles.
Prince says, I love Kelsey, but I feel Wait, let me read his damn take. Prince for $10. Thank you, Prince. I love Kelsey, but I feel he undermined Jalen a lot. Jalen could see the blitz, but Kelsey would often go against it. If Jalen is able to take another step this year, it was Kelsey holding him back. I agree 100%. I think Jason Kelsey, for as awesome as he was, it's no coincidence that he left and our offensive line became the best offensive line we've ever had. Again, I don't say that as a knock on Kelsey's talent, but I think later in the year or later in his career, the pieces of the puzzle would have went together if they allowed Jalen to grow gradually in that area. They hamstrung him. I don't think he was perfectly correct, as Prince alludes to in this chat, and I think it slowed Jalen Hurts down. And you can make an argument if they put that on Jalen and they let them experience that growing pain, they might have grown faster, stronger, and bigger. I agree, Prince.
So, Prince, do you then blame the passing attack being 30th on the inability of the team to allow Hurts to grow?
Well, I think it's a multi-pronged discussion. I don't think it's one thing, but I think that aids in it. I mean, look, Sills, listen to Tom Brady. There's a famous clip of Tom Brady. It's about 4 or 5 minutes long, and he explains what a quarterback needs to do to be successful. How Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, grades quarterbacks. Almost all of it boils down to what you do pre-snap at the line of scrimmage as a quarterback. If you don't put that in the quarterback's hands and you don't shoot 100% accuracy, you are going to limit what that quarterback can be and can become. Inevitably.
Wow.
I don't think it's a knock on Kelsey. I just think it's a truth that the Eagles fell into because of what they had at quarterback and the way it shifted, specifically in the first year of Jalen's career, post Nick Foles, all that stuff. It's an interesting topic, though.
It is, because now you start going here with it. Do you think Jason Kelsey limited Jalen Hurts' ability to lead the team?
I don't want to go that far.
Well, if you're undermining pass protections, going, no, we're not going here. This is where it's coming from. I mean, how did the team get better?
I think
the team got better without him.
I know. And Jason might not want to admit that, and Jason Kelsey truthers might not want to admit that, but we had many people on this show. We've had Hall of Fame voters. We've had different beat reporters who have covered this team for 20, 30, 40 years on Birds 365. Many of them have said that was the best offensive line I've ever seen in Philly.
Did you hear
that Sileo? That was 1 year removed from a Hall of Fame center.
Phil Simms says that's the greatest offensive line he's ever seen.
Yes, Phil freaking Simms.
And he, again, that better than the Cowboy line.
What a take by Prince.
And that's a good one. About time. You've been about 6 days of L's, and that's probably your best one in about 6 months.
Prince, it is a good take. It is a good take.
It's about time, guy.
It's a depth. It's a topic with a lot of depth, but we got one more here. Oh, wait, we got a couple more. Ben Dover. Say it out loud. Funny one. Good one. Ben Dover says, Sills better stop calling JD fat. He's going to come through the wall like the Kool-Aid man and tackle Sills straight to the shadow realm.
That's okay. I'll just get
have him bend over, too.
Let me just say this, Ben Dover. Let me just say this to you there, brother. All I have to do is get on a little bike and start pedaling away. Don't worry. Fat guy will fall on his face. He won't be able to chase me.
James M says, clip it. Ramsey will be an Eagle. No, he won't. Why do you want Ramsey? He couldn't get along with Vic last time. What do you think? He's going to come here and get along? Ramsey, shut up and drop in the zone. We're the best defense in football. Shut up and drop in the zone. That's what I would tell him.
Hey, how about Vic getting some love to Huff going? Hey, I think he goes out there.
Smart thing to do.
Hey, he sounds like Johnny Mack, man. Hey, I think he goes out there and gets 8+ sacks. And, that was like.
John McMullen? You mean John McHuffin?
No, John Van McSumeren.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting though that he said that about Bryce. I agree with him though. I think Vic wants to be something different. I do. I think Vic is smart enough to know that the player is not a total trash can. He just doesn't fit what Vic wants to do. And he told Howie that and basically said, I wonder if there was, as much as Howie had to bite the, fall on the sword on this and kind of, bite the bullet and move on, I'd have made him look better because Vic was probably like, listen, man, I won't embarrass you, but he's not getting on the field in my defense. And Howie might have been like, all right, we'll just get him out of here then.
Bro, I do have to bring this up to you though. Okay. And let me put this out here to you.
Oh, wait.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Is this on Bryce Huff or do you want to?
This is on Bryce Huff a little bit here.
Okay.
Well, this year and next year, Eagles do have to bite the bullet at $25 million. Okay.
On Huff.
On Huff and dead cap money.
I mean, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's $25 million bucks.
Yeah. You can't get it. You can't move on from that. You're going to bite a bullet. That is the issue with getting things wrong. I mean, and they did here. So I put out the John on the Birds 365, and we might have did this, but I said over under 6.5 on Bryce Huff sacks in San Francisco. John took the over. What are you taking?
What? Whether he plays 6 games or not?
No. 6.5 sacks.
Oh, I'll put the over under on how many games he plays.
No. Take the over, the under. Get off the fence.
Fence. All right.
Yes.
I think he has 3 sacks this year.
So under. Thank you. Was that so hard? Fence rider?
I think
it's like Humpty Dumpty. I got to push you off the wall.
It's like, whether he's going to have over 6.5 sacks. He had 1 year in 6 years where it was decent. He's a 1-year wonder. Okay, this guy's like a 1-year hit.
Good. So you took the under. About time you put your foot in the sand on something.
Man.
You're losing your way. You're not putting your foot in the sand.
Oh, I've had a grand slam. I am super Sill so far in the offseason here. I said this, that they were going to put that kid at safety. Try him at corner. It's almost like they be listening to me. How you doing, Big Sills? Cooper DeJean, man. He's a safety. They don't think he can play corner. Actually, Vic said he thought he could. But Vic thinks he's going to be
will be the best corner on this football team.
Better than Q.
Yes. Book it.
How about this?
Cooper DeJean is the second best defensive football player on the Philadelphia Eagles, behind Jalen Carter.
I think in 2 years he's going to be the best defensive football player on your team.
You think over Jalen Carter? That's going to be tough for me to say, but
yes, I do. I think that guy has Malcolm Jenkins all over him.
Look at this guy. Says Cooper can't cover.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what you look at when you watch him. He. I'll tell you this. I know he could cover Derrick Henry.
Ask Jamar Chase too. Ask
Hey,
Jamar Chase.
okay. I think that guy has Malcolm Jenkins all over him. When I see him, I see
I
Malcolm
can see it
Jenkins.
even better. I can see better.
Yeah,
I can
because
see
he can
higher
do
upside.
more.
Dude,
All
he's
right.
also down like he's also like guys that down in the Jersey Shore slinging honeys at the freaking beach bars up and down the East Coast. Are you kidding me? Not only has this kid came to Philly and taken over and he's blown up on social media and he picked six Patrick Mahomes, but the kid is a fucking stud, Sills.
Hey,
He is a stud.
talk about white guys can't jump. That guy jumps through the
Cooper DeJean officially dubbed it White Guy Summer, is what he dubbed it. Are you
Dude,
kidding me? Cooper
that guy
DeJean
needs
is
to go up to New York and go up to Rucker Park, man, and start playing some ball because I tell you what, if you want to do it, hey, Daryl Morey, if you want a two-sport guy, you might want to sign Cooper DeJean
right.
to
He
play
might be the best basketball player in Philly right now.
Absolutely, man. All right, Big Z. Hey, you should have a lot of stuff coming out of camp, right? Any other news that come out of camp so far?
Not much.
Not
a whole lot, John's a little bit of a Debbie Downer with it. It's tough. We get like one practice in like 48 days, and John's like, doesn't matter. Nothing you see, nothing matters. Can't tell anything. Don't ask me about this guy. Don't ask me about this. I'm not answering that. I'm like, holy shit. You want me to act like they weren't at practice today? But that's kind of crazy.
What I would ask John is this. John, what did you see the depth chart yet? I mean, because John gets access to the depth chart.
Yeah.
That's the guys that get reps.
Martin Perez checks in. Coop's also laying the wood on Kay Adams. All right, that's a pause, man. Come on, man.
Hey, Martin, I'll tell you what. I hope that's true. Because, hey, Kay's my friend too, man, but she's a honey. She's my friend. So, oh, by the way, I'm going to get –
at first, he didn't read my great take, and now he's copying it. So that's true. All right, so let me get out of here, brother.
Wait, before you go, I'm going to ask Howard Eskin this because Howard had one of those cryptic tweets a week ago about Sirianni's deal. Now, me and Angelo Cataldi didn't know what the hell Howard Eskin meant because he goes, it's really good or something above 10 million. I'm like, 100 million's above 10 million.
Yeah, right. 10, it could be 11, it could be 38. I mean, what are we doing here?
Or conspiracy theory. And I'm like, wait a minute. So what, 13.5? Is that what they're paying the guy? Because if they're paying the guy 13.5, they're not paying him top 5 money.
So until I'm proven otherwise, he's $19 million next
year. He is not making 19 million.
He's one under Andy Reid, and until I'm proven otherwise, I will stick to that. Okay.
I can't.
Two Super Bowls in 4 years. The guy's on a historic pace. He's heading to Canton.
Well, then he should make 21 million.
Well, Andy Reid's got more years under the belt, I guess, has earned him that extra one.
Well, that's a pretty big belt. All right,
yeah,
man.
All right,
hey,
brother.
I appreciate you. All right. Yeah, man. So if you guys remember, now me and Wah, we're friends with Frank Reich, and I don't know. I heard 13.5. And Howard's 10 times more plugged in. Angelo goes, so he comes on the show, he calls me, he goes, ask Howard what he meant by north of 10 million. Comfortably. Howard talks to everybody, but he has a cryptic way of putting those tweets out. Make sure you follow him over on his X account too. So let's bring him up here. The sly one himself, Mr. Philadelphia. Howard Eskin joins us now here. All right, Howard, that was pretty slick.
Well, does it make any difference how much money he makes?
Yes, it does, because it tells me the importance of how they see him in the building. If he's so important, you make him the highest paid guy in the sport.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Andy Reid is the best coach in football, and it's not even close. All right. He's the best coach. I don't know if he's the best coach ever, but he's certainly better than Belichick. And he's, you look at Bill Walsh, you got to go back away. You can't judge Vince Lombardi and those and then Tom Landry. But in the last 20 years, Andy Reid is the best coach in football. So if basing it on what you're trying to say is he should be making the most money, which apparently he is. But it doesn't matter to me what a coach makes. Everybody's overpaid in professional sports. So what's the difference? Nick Sirianni is now comfortable for the rest of his life. All right. And that's all it really matters. Does it make any difference? I mean, really, does it make, first of all, first of all, what am I, Charles Barkley? It's just, when you think about AJ Brown making 32 million, does he really need 32 million? And then the other guys, who was it, Justin
Come on,
Jefferson?
Howard, it's an ego thing. Every player wants
That's
to make
exactly
more.
right. But
Everybody wants to make more than his next guy and his. I mean, everybody in our business, everybody in any business wants to be gauged by. You're gauged by salaries. You're not gauged by how people think of you and pats on the back. They want to know. Again, I mean, AJ Brown saw the guy. I'm not saying Brown get 30 some odd $1 million, and he's turning around going, "Wait a minute, what is that about? I've been here doing all this," and then they ended up extending him. It totally is ego. I'm not saying you're wrong. But I'm saying it's ego, and everyone has it in sports.
Well, yeah, but I don't think Nick Sirianni lives his life because of his ego, his success. Here was a guy that was really in the last two coaches standing before the Eagles made the decision of Nick Sirianni, were Josh McDaniels. Was it Josh? I forget his name already because he's such a bad head coach. You know what I'm talking about. And Nick Sirianni. And the Eagles selected Nick Sirianni, and they made the absolute right choice. And then the geniuses, the morons, and the nitwits in Philadelphia, after 4 games, wanted to fire Sirianni for Belichick, which would have been a total disaster. I don't even know if he's in the top 5, Belichick, because without Tom Brady, Rodney Harrison told me one time, I said, Rodney, and I asked him a straight up honest question. Without Tom Brady, what do you think Belichick, and I called him Belichick to him because at the time I asked him, I probably didn't know he was cheating. But now we all know he was cheating. What do you think his record would have been without Tom Brady? Probably around 9-7. Is 9-7 the best coach in football? No. And without Tom Brady, he's won nothing. Nothing. Zero as a head coach. 0. So I don't even think he's in the top 5. But now he might have an ego. Andy Reid, I don't think Andy Reid has an ego, but, somewhere along the way, they just wanted to take care of him because he's that good, and they don't want him to retire, and he's not going to retire. But I don't know that he's driven by money. And there are some coaches that are probably driven by money. Nick Sirianni, from what I understand, is making right around $15 million a year.
Okay, that puts him right there with Tomlin and John Harbaugh, and that puts him in the conversation where you're talking top 5 guy. That's probably right. Howard, I do want to ask you one thing, though.
What do you mean probably right? Usually I am right.
No, excuse me, sir. Excuse me, King, you're right.
He's not making 19 million. He's not making.
So you think he's around 15?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. From what
Beautiful.
I understand.
Thank you. We will take that to the
bank.
I
mean, it's just, but it doesn't matter to me what he makes because it doesn't affect the way the team can move forward because coaches aren't in a salary cap, players are, and you got to be careful with what you do with players because you got to do it differently. I don't know if Nick Sirianni got a signing bonus. It really doesn't matter. He's guaranteed, I believe, at least 3 years, but I would believe he probably got a 4-year contract.
Okay, and, with probably a team option, maybe on the 4th, like that, something like that.
Yeah, well, it's 3 or 4, but whatever he gets, it's probably guaranteed. But if he gets another job, now think about this. And Chip Kelly was great at this. Chip Kelly, bounced around, but when you go with another NFL team, it's whatever you're left
right
with.
Now in Washington is still making Bidwell money off that contract, Howard, that he signed a couple of years ago. That's why he didn't take any other opportunities, is because he signed a $9 million deal. And that's personally why Frank didn't take another opportunity for him to go and coach anywhere else except for the Stanford thing. By the way, Howard, he's going to be on the coaching staff next year, Frank Reich. He said it on the program here, and this is what was said to me, that they were carving a rollout for him and they were making a role for him. He did not want to be the offensive coordinator. He wanted the dust to settle. And he was on a program here when he just got the Stanford job. And he said that Nick Sirianni and the organization was carving out a position for him. And I said, so you were going to be like a consultant? And he said, yes, we were defining the role. And Nick was defining the role. In my opinion, that sounds like he'll be here next year because it's only a 1-year deal that he signed to be the Stanford head football coach. And so I could see him being a consultant, and Nick confirmed it, or excuse me, Frank confirmed it that he was going to potentially join the staff next year. Do you have a problem with that?
Well, not at all. I think Frank Reich is a terrific coach. Obviously, when you're a head coach, it's not always about how good you are. It's the players you have and the team you're given. And Nick Sirianni always says terrific things about Frank Reich and how much he learned from Frank Reich. So that's important too. The fact that they see eye to well, not see eye to, they're on the same page.
Yeah.
But the thing about coaches, somebody's going to move. Somebody's going to get another job. Something's going to happen. And there's always room for another coach. And just to have him on the staff, I think the Eagles offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, is a terrific coach. I really think he's going to be very good. But it comes down to the players, and it comes down to a team that doesn't get caught up in all this ego that they're Super Bowl champions and all the attention they've gotten in the offseason. But I think Kevin Patullo has done a great job, and he wouldn't want to, unless Kevin Patullo gets a head coaching job. And I don't know if he'd get it after 1 year, but you never know in the NFL because guys get fired all the time. So I would be happy. I am happy if Frank Reich is with the Eagles because he is a terrific coach. And the fact that he and the head coach are so aligned with each other really makes it important.
And the organization really likes him. I know the owner and the GM like
Yep.
him like that too. So, Howard,
Yep.
let me read you something here. And again, I don't know how you look at Pro Football Focus, but they said a year ago the Eagles, they got them ranked as the #1 roster in all of pro football heading into the 25 season. They ranked all 32. And I looked at it and said the biggest strength a year ago was the defense. Obviously, we'll get to the defense here, but here was the biggest weakness. This is what they said about the quarterback. Much of the burden falls on the quarterback, Jalen Hurts, who ranked 23rd among qualifiers and PFF passing grades, despite an outstanding final 2 games. The biggest drop-off came in dropbacks, where Hurts posted a 64-6 non-play action, which made him the 26th worst passer in all of pro football. In your opinion, when you read stuff like that, give me your assessment on how you see Jalen Hurts. Does that offense this year, 2025, run through Hurts, or does that run through Barkley?
Well, it obviously, I don't know if it runs through Barkley, but without Barkley, it's not the same because, and let me just say this, I don't know that I always agree with Pro Football Focus,
Agreed.
but, and there's a lot of people along those lines that don't always agree with Pro Football Focus, but I believe from what, I had understood, they didn't want Jalen Hurts throwing more than 21 to 23 passes a game. Now, what that does is it cuts down it cuts down the turnovers or the chance for turnovers. And if Barkley wasn't as successful, Saquon Barkley wasn't as successful, then Jalen Hurts wouldn't be as successful. But let's also point out the offensive line is, I don't know where they rank them, but they're probably the best in the NFL. I would think they're
Howard. Phil Simms last week said it's the greatest O-line he's ever seen.
Well, yeah, that says a lot. I mean, I don't know thinking about because I don't remember all the offensive lines, but there was been some really, really good ones. Usually when a running back is that successful, the offensive line has a lot to do with it. Now, once he gets to the second level, he's terrific.
Yeah.
But you got to have a really good offensive line to get to the second level. So without Barkley, Jalen Hurts is not thought of. Excuse me. I'm all choked up about this. I'm not thought of the same way and not viewed as as the same quarterback. Listen, he's gotten much better. He's a very good quarterback, but without Saquon Barkley, he's not he's not the same quarterback. But you could say that for a lot of people, a lot of quarterbacks. Now, Tom Brady was different, but the way they, you know, I, I'm trying to think about the running backs they had, and they had some good ones, not great ones, but they had some good ones. And Russell Wilson was good, not because Russell Wilson was good, but because the defense gave him great field position so many times. The one of the years that they went to the Super
And
Bowl,
Marshawn Lynch.
yeah, right, and they had Marshawn Lynch. One of the years that Seattle went to the Super Bowl in the red zone, and the Eagles were just okay. The Eagles and Seattle were in the low 20s. I mean, high 20, whatever. They were like 21-23. They were right there as the same, and Seattle went to the Super Bowl. So, it's sometimes it's a defense that gives you great field position. Sometimes it's the running back. Sometimes it's the offensive line. Football is probably more of a team sport than any other sport. You could see basketball is not a team basketball. Whoever just fires up as many threes as they can, and if they hit them, but defensively, they might have to play as a team. But football is the best team sport, and you've got to have other elements. And I say this: the Eagles, I don't know if they would have not won. They would have lost the Super Bowl, but they wouldn't have won it the way they did if it wasn't for their defense holding Kansas City the way they did. The defense, I think the MVP of the Super Bowl had to be somebody on defense. That's just my thought. Even though they scored 40 some points, it had to be somebody on defense.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I agree. Do you think, Howard, that they've made too many moves on the other side of the ball, creating too many question marks? Because again, that was one of the greatest collections of versatile players I've ever seen. Did they have top end guys at every single position? They may not have, but what they did have was they had guys that you didn't have to take off the field, which meant less substitutions, which meant you could play in multiple bases. It was really one of the best. Was it Gangrene? No. But was it more versatile than Gangrene? Possibly. I mean, they made a lot of moves over there. And you heard Vic talking today a little bit. I mean, did they make too many moves?
I don't know that sometimes you have to. Teams that win, and I think even in the Super Bowl, the roster changes from 15 to 18 players because now other teams think these guys are really good and they're going to pay them a lot more money than the Eagles can pay them to kind of manage the cap. It happens. That's why Kansas City wasn't the best team in the AFC this year.
No.
I think Buffalo or Baltimore were better teams. But it finally caught up with them. Their offensive line was brutal, and that's why the Eagles were just all over Mahomes. But you can't maintain that level. The fact that they got to the third Super Bowl is a testament to the head coach, Andy Reid, the third straight Super Bowl. They're not going back to the Super Bowl this year.
No way.
As good as Mahomes is, they just don't have enough, and you got to kind of pick up the pieces after that. But that's what happens. You lose players when you win Super Bowls, and it just stands to reason they're going to take the money. Some players want to play with a winning team, and some players just want to go for the cash. And I guess you can't fault them for that. And the Eagles, when you win a Super Bowl, you can't pay everybody. I mean, they're going to miss some of those players, but they still have a good defensive line. I don't know if the ends, you got to figure out what they're going to do. But Nolan Smith, I know he's listed as a linebacker, but he's really a defensive lineman / linebacker. Right. So they won on defense because their pass rush was so good and they didn't have to blitz that much. So that is important. But, and Vic Fangio is a terrific coach, but the players got to play. Jalen Carter, Antone Davis have to play at a really good level. So
Let me
I think-
ask you this here. A couple last questions here for you, Howard. Boy, I'll tell you something. I don't know if this is an Eagle thing or I don't know if this is an NFL thing, because now all of a sudden the NFL commissioner's coming out and he's targeting the Eagles on, as he has worded it. I heard Andrew Brandt make the comment.
Yeah,
And
I actually had Andrew Brandt on my podcast.
No, I heard it on your show.
Right.
I watched it, and I heard him say that he believes that the commissioner and what the commissioner's targeting is that those void years, they're manipulating the cap to their benefit, which means that they're going to try to close that. And they're going to try to make sure that you can't cut that Huff deal without voidable years being turned into signing bonus. You think the National Football League has an in for the Eagles right now?
I stopped whining. I know these Eagles fans that whine, they have it in for the Eagles. First of all, and you probably remember this, the tush push, let's start with that. The tush push was an illegal play, 15, 20 years ago.
Yes,
you weren't allowed to push a player who had the football from behind. Why they changed it, I don't know. So now somebody complained about it, that if it was illegal before, why? Hey, listen, I'd rather see them. I don't really care whether they have tush push. I like to see people play football.
Yeah.
So
you didn't like to play. You didn't like to play.
I didn't have a feeling one way or the other. I could care less whether it was ruled illegal, because I want to see teams play football. And if they're a good enough team, they'll be able to play football the way it was meant to be played. And just because you have a lot of guys pushing from behind, and really Landon Dickerson is really important in that play, and he's not pushing from behind, he's pushing from in front. But so everybody said, oh, because a team brought that up. Well, 22 teams didn't want it. You needed 24 to vote against it. 22 teams didn't want it. So that's not the commissioner. That's 22 teams. So I really could care less whether they have the play or they don't have the play, whatever. And because what's going to happen. There's no suspense. There's no play action. There's no, pass run option from the one or one. It's just a simple play. And I want to see more to it. Now, as far as in the spirit of the rule, regardless of the spirit of the rule, the Eagles have found a way. And I'm sure other teams try the same thing, but they haven't made it as good. The decisions haven't been as good when other teams try it. And Jeffrey Lurie doesn't care how much he spends, doesn't care what it costs. He's a terrific owner. He's got no ego, just straightforward. And listen, if this is what you have to do and this is what's going to make it work, then let's do it. And that's the owner. But you can't tell me Jerry Jones doesn't want to try it, but he's such an idiot. Nice guy, but an idiot as far as putting a team together. You can't tell me with all the money that he makes that he wouldn't want to try to do it to try to win a Super Bowl. And there's other people trying to do it. It's not just against the Eagles. It's the spirit. Why have a salary cap if you can beat the system? All the NFL cares about is everybody trying to be on an equal level. That's all they care about. That's why they do what they do. And that's why the football isn't as good quality-wise, because they want they want all this parity, and they make it tougher schedules for certain teams. They do all these things. Everybody that thinks the commissioner is against the Eagles, the commissioner is just trying to do what the model of the league is, and that's try to keep as much parity as you can and not circumvent the rule, or maybe that's a strong way to say it. Just, in the spirit of the rule, just play by the spirit of the rule. So, I don't care.
Here's the only thing I would say to that, though, is that when you have other owners, like you say, other owners they want to do it this way, Howard. They want to go back end, and they want to go to the back end of that stuff, and they want to pay players on the back end, where Jeffrey Lurie, and if I'm an Eagle guy or I'm a free agent, what I want to do is this guy's going to give me money up front. Money in the bank is better than money promised. And to me, if I'm a kid that's out there or a potential free agent, that's enticing for me to want to go to Philly. That's like a web that guy's going to give me more money up front. I may make less on the back end, but those are phony years anyway in people's contracts. That is where I think that you have other teams going, wait a minute here. He's manipulating and having a place where people, again, the owner has to pay money up front. I don't want to pay money if I'm up front, if I'm Mark Davis or if I'm Mike Brown. Jeffrey Lurie's willing to do that. And I think that may be an ego thing again, where he wants to win. These other guys
but
want to win.
Here's the issue. The issue is they're signing players to 5-year contracts knowing they won't play the last couple of years.
Correct.
But they give them the money up front, so then the money collapses. He's still paying he's paying more money because he's paying for players that aren't there. So he's paying for players that aren't there, but he doesn't care. And Andrew Brent made this point too, and it's the truth. If you draft well, and you know that you're going to get eaten up by dead cap money at the end.
Player development, too.
Right. You got to draft well and develop the players. And the Eagles have done a good job of that. They've made some mistakes, like everybody makes mistakes. But if you do that, then it doesn't hurt you at the end. You're still paying. It's dead cap money, but it doesn't matter. If they didn't draft well, it would matter. But they are drafting and developing players. So these people that think the commissioner is out to get the Eagles, I'm sure he gets along with Jeffrey Lurie extremely well. Yeah. There's a lot of owners. I'm sure he doesn't like Jerry Jones pushing him around as much as he does, but Jerry Jones has so much power. Jeffrey Lurie doesn't he just tries to do what's best for his team. He had this big speech about the tush push. That's okay. He's trying to fight for his team, and about paying it, I'm sure it'll be addressed, and I'm sure there'll be some things. The player, I don't know how they can, if they want to try to fix it somewhat, I don't know how they can do it because the player agreement lasts many more years. I don't know how you can change the cap.
And if I'm a player, Howard, and I'm an agent, I don't want those void years gone.
No.
I mean, those void years allow me to get a signing bonus. The reason those signing bonuses can be deferred out, that's how you get these $100 million. And when you're the top end guys, that's how you get those $100 million guaranteed bonuses, is because you can defer that money out and you can push that out 2-3 years. So I want those voidable years. For you to get that by the CBA, like you say, where's the NFL Players Association? They got to drop a pair and show me they got a pair to fight that, because the owners, do you not agree though, Howard? The owners have to control salary somehow. And to me, when you're paying Dak Prescott $60 million or Trevor Lawrence $55 million, you're paying exorbitant amount of money for good players or decent players. You're not paying for exceptional players. The owners, the model's going up, isn't it? The model of the NFL ratings are going through the roof, but I'm sitting around paying guys like Bryce Huff. I'm paying that guy $51 million, and he's a one-dimensional guy.
I know. So that was one of their mistakes. Devin White was a mistake. It's just.
Was James Bradbury a mistake?
At the time, he wasn't, and you knew you tried to squeeze as much as you could out of him. It'd be interesting to see what they do with Davis, because I think after this year, he'll be eligible sometime this year for another contract. He stepped up his game, but he and Jalen Carter on that defensive line, Davis and Carter are really, really important for that defensive line. And then they got the ends will be there. There's going to be somebody.
Yeah, but Reed Blankenship are you going to let Reed go into the 2025 season, knowing that at the end of it, he's a free agent? I mean, does that guy look like a $10 million a year safety to you? Are you, especially with what they said today, where you went like this? You heard Vic say this: "Hey, we're going to play Cooper in base at safety." Okay, well, that means they're moving him out of nickel. They want him on the field for the entire time instead of just being 69% of the time. You want him on the field all the time. All right. When you see Reed Blankenship, I think that guy's replaceable. I'm not paying that guy $10 million. They just drafted a guy in the second round from Texas, Makuba. I mean,
Well,
do you think they pay
but
him
you got to look at this. The cap's going to go up. So
18% every year?
what's 10 million? What's $10 million? And Reed Blankenship is a really good guy to have in the locker room. Sometimes you need that because he connects with a lot of the players. He still does a good job. Is he a great player? No, but he's a good player. And he might sign for a little bit less to stay with the Eagles because he and Cooper DeJean are tied at the hip.
Absolutely.
And and just he's a really good guy to have in the locker room. And sometimes that's really important. You can't have a bunch of jerks in the locker room. And there are jerks in the locker room. But when teams make mistakes, I mean, when Jerry Jones signed Dak Prescott, that might have been one of the worst contracts in
Agreed.
the last 10 years. He's never going to win.
Never.
He's never going to win. He's not a winner. And the Cowboys fans can whine all they want. He had a lot of players around him, not this last year, but I think the year before, and he can't win. He's not a winner. And you made a mistake, and now you're stuck with it because now they don't have another quarterback. So you got to get another quarterback to pay him that kind of money. So I'm not worried about Reed Blankenship. I think the Eagles always find a way to figure it out, but you can't keep everybody. And that's the case. But 10 million nowadays, let's say he takes, he does one of those deals where he gets dummy money at the end, just to keep him around. But I think he's important to the team. Not a great player, but a good player. And he's important.
Last question to you. Do you think with all the time men of the year, you got Cooper DeJean hanging out in Wildwood, hanging out with the honeys in the bar, you got guys doing commencement speeches. I mean, the thrills, Howard, of being a champion, you get to hang out with the honeys at the Met. You get to do all that stuff. Now you're a big hero, very un-Philly-like, I might add. All these psycho things that they're doing. You think there's too many distractions?
I've seen teams that let the distractions get to them. We don't know until this year. It's going to be tougher. Teams are going to come after them. Detroit, if they didn't have injuries, I still think the Eagles were a better team. But if they didn't have injuries, who knows what would happen to them?
Right.
I believe the Eagles play them here this year.
They do.
So they play them in Philadelphia, which is an advantage for the Eagles. So I don't know if they're all caught up in it. I've seen it happen to a team, but I have to go back many years. I always think of the Phillies, but that was in 1980. They were so caught up in themselves and all the things they were doing in the offseason. And the 81 was a screwed up season because then you had the strike and all the other nonsense. But there are teams that just kind of get caught up in who they were, but you got to have the right players there. Like Golden State, they had the right players there in basketball. And there's teams that have the right. Kansas City had the right players, but they had the right coach that made sure they stayed in line. And I think Nick Sirianni is that guy. Hey, listen, you don't win on the past. You win on what you're going to do in the future. So we'll see if they get all caught up in it. They're still going to work hard, but and they didn't have any injuries. That's another thing. They didn't really have any injuries. So you have to look at that. But I don't know. I don't know if they're too caught up in it. They're having a good time. There's nothing wrong with having a good time. The Madden curse, all that nonsense. But Saquon Barkley had a year that I don't know that he can duplicate that year again. I mean, how are you going to duplicate 2,000 yards 2 years in a row? So I don't know that he can do that again. And he's got to stay healthy. Now he's playing on a grass rather than that turf that they played on in New York, and that may have contributed to it. But I don't know if the young guys can handle all the notoriety that they've gotten. But they're still a very, very good team. Very
Howard,
good team.
I would like to sneak something in on you here because you're the godfather of LaFraud. When you say LaFraud, I'm going to go off topic here, but
it's amazing. I'm going to tell you a story about that word. Frank Caliendo, who we all know who Frank is. And I had him on the show, and he revealed this to me when I had him on the show, just as kind of doing all his voices. I was at a function with him at a Super Bowl, and he was with his son. And I called somebody a fraud. And then he pointed out, that guy's a fraud. That guy's a fraud. He says, my son uses that word all the time. It's easy to identify, in my opinion, easy to identify frauds.
It sure is, because they're not genuine.
No.
I mean,
You were going to ask me about LaFraud James, weren't you?
Let me throw this at you here. So I've over the years become friends with Horace Grant, and I asked him, the debate was like just a stupid thing, the old, sports talk. LeBron versus Michael. And he goes, well, it's very simple.
Not even close.
Michael Jordan played in a system that allowed him to be great, and he had guardrails. I go, what do you mean by that? He goes, well, you think there's any coincidence that Phil Jackson with the triangle, and then what happened when he went to Los Angeles, the triangle? Steve Kerr, you think the championships in Golden State had anything to do with the triangle that they ran there from the point with Steph the same way? Those things all show you the type of success that everybody that was in that triangle, wherever it went, it showed you that teams had success with it. He was in LA with it. He won with Kobe and Shaq. He was up in Chicago with Jordan. Jordan had the triangle with Tex Winter putting it where the point guard instead of the center. Look at Golden State. As I said, all of those places, Steve Kerr, all champions. LeBron never played in a system ever. So how could you ever say that guy was ever going to be a champion that way?
LeBron chose his own teams. It's like going to the schoolyard and, 1, 2, 3, shoot.
Their not being on superstar teams.
You know what? He decided he put together his own teams most of the time. And, I can't identify him as one of the all-time champions. Michael Jordan played 9 straight seasons and played every game, regular season and playoffs. Nobody will ever do that again. And LaFraud James, he named himself the king. When you give yourself your own nickname, you're a fraud. You're a fraud. King James. Nobody named you king. You named yourself king. And he always is looking for attention. Some sport and ESPN, the bobbleheads that they are at ESPN, they always, LeBron James put something up on Twitter or social media, and they always run his quote because he knows he's going to get attention outside of the game. And now he's only playing to build up numbers because nobody's going to get more points than he is. He plays no defense. And here's another thing. I don't think he really, and I'm trying to think of all the teams, he made players on his team better. Michael Jordan played with no centers, and he made them better. Scottie Pippen is a great player, but Scottie may not agree with this, but he made Scottie Pippen a better player. Stars are stars because they make players on their team better. Tell me one player that LaFraud James made better on his teams. Tell me one player.
I completely agree. And on top of that, he drove the ratings of the sport down. I mean, Jordan elevated the game.
Oh, unbelievable.
Don't you? I mean, Iverson was must-watch television more so than what LeBron was. I mean, look, he's had a longevity career that is second to none in that sport, and there is no question. But when I look at him, do I see Magic Johnson or do I see
no?
Do I see Magic and Larry and Michael Jordan or Kareem? I don't see that.
No, he's not. He just doesn't make players on his team better. He's not. I don't think he's in the top 5 all time. I don't think he's in the top 5. People compare him to Jordan. Not even close. It's not even close. It's a joke when people put him in the same class as Michael Jordan. And the problem is the people that do that have never seen Michael Jordan. I used to have arguments with Torrey Smith, the wide receiver for the Eagles at one time. Oh yeah, LeBron's better than Michael. I said, no, he's not. Did you ever see Michael? No, I didn't. Okay, you're out of this discussion. Done. Gone. Get out of here. So it just, you had to see him, and I'm lucky enough to have seen both of them. And I've seen a lot of players, and there's players that are certainly better than LaFraud beyond Michael Jordan.
Absolutely. How can folks find you? Howard, I do all the time. I saw that Andrew Brandt episode, and it was absolutely great. He broke it down, and he was like, hey, those those void years is something to keep an eye on for the owners when they get to their next owners meetings.
You know
So
what?
that-
I always seem to learn something on the podcast. I had Irving Fryer on last week. I guess it was Saturday.
What a
I
great
do the
player.
I do the podcast. He was great. Live 7:30 on Wednesday and live 8 o'clock on Saturday. But obviously on a podcast you can see it forever. But I learned something from Irving Fryer. He was the first player taken in the '84 draft, which is amazing that a wide receiver. And then what he told me, he says, I didn't even play wide receiver my last year at Nebraska. I was a wingback.
Yeah.
He says,
We
I
played
might have
against-
touched the ball 4 times a game.
Hey,
And he was the first player taken in the draft.
do me a favor the next time you ask him.
I'll
this.
see him Thursday.
Ask him this. In 1983, he played us for the national championship, and that Nebraska team was supposed to be the greatest team of all time. We were 11-point underdogs at the Orange Bowl. They went for the tie. They didn't go for the tie at the end of the game. They went for 2 points, and they lost to us 31-30. Ask him if they had kicked that field goal, they would have probably been named the national champion. If he ever regrets that, because I've heard him say that's his most disappointing loss in his entire career, was that team would have been considered one of the greatest college football teams of all time under Coach Osborne. They went like, hey, Howard, they scored with seconds left. They went, if they kick it, they go 12-0-1, and we don't win it. Instead, Tom Osborne had the onions to go for the 2, and they missed it. We win our first national title, really set our program up. And I remember seeing Fryer's face go, and I remember he became the number 1 overall pick in the draft, that next draft in April.
I know. Can you imagine that? He didn't even play wide receiver. It was, but his 40 time was really, really good. And that probably sold people on those things. I got Mike Quick on Wednesday night.
Great.
And Mike, he was, I started looking it up. He was the 20th player taken in the draft. And there's no wide receiver. There was 4, including Dick Vermeil wanted Perry Tuttle out of Clemson. And he was taking the pick before Quick. And Dick was mad. And then he took Quick, who turned out to be great. It's just, but there were 4 wide receivers taken before him in the first round. And none of them were as good as Mike Quick.
No way.
It's amazing how these things happen.
Mike's a borderline, for his era, Hall of Fame guy. I mean, he's a borderline.
He had 5 straight years he led the league in catches.
Right. I think he came out of NC State, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, NC State. That is correct.
And he, for his era, clearly one of the absolutely best wide receivers of all time. Howard, I always check out your show. I think it's truly one of the best out there. So informative also because, between you and Angelo, I'm learning the ropes a little bit about.
What do you learn from Angelo? What do you learn from Angelo? What do you learn from Angelo?
Well, I learned how he can't stand Andy Reid, and you glaze Andy Reid, and you love. He hates. He thinks he's the biggest.
He can't get off. He can't get off.
He will not let loose. He hates Nick Sirianni too. He can't. He thinks Nick Sirianni's the biggest puppet going. He thinks
just because he's got emotion and he won't get off that horse. Not that he's ever ridden a horse. That's the other thing. When you see Angelo, I want to put Angelo on a horse and see it'll take about 1.5 seconds to throw him off that horse.
It's such polar opposite. No wonder that station at one time was sensational. Thank you so much, Howard.
Not anymore.
I know it, Howard. I mean, I tuned on, not to take too many shots at anybody. I tuned on and I thought there was like a doctor and like a psychiatrist going, help me out here, AJ. How you feeling? I'm like, what do I care how he feels?
Oh my gosh.
Hey, thank you so much, Howard. I appreciate it. We'll always check you out, my friend.
All right, take care. You have a great day and a better day tomorrow.
You got it. That is our friend Howard Eskin. God dang, that's awesome. Yes, sir, man. That's exactly how. Make sure you check out his podcast. I got that. By the way, I told you guys, I listened to his podcast when he had Andrew Brandt on. And Andrew Brandt's like, this thing might be an issue with these voidable years. And that was something that kind of caught me. And then I heard, and then I watched the commissioner start to make some comments. He didn't really say Eagles, but he was referring to those dudes. And so Monday, I will have, this is always great because we go back and forth. I'll do this. I had Eskin on. How much did he glaze over Andy Reid? I go, well, no, he said he's the greatest coach in the history of the National Football League. And that always ticks off Angelo. And now he's not. That guy, I talked to him for 20 years. He just couldn't say it. And I'm going like, wait a minute. Howard says, I feel like I'm the guy in the middle. Guys, great stuff. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Our great friends. By the way, John Morgan's going to join us at the bottom of the hour, the legendary John Morgan. He will join us at the bottom of the hour. The number one injury law firm in America is Morgan & Morgan. If you're ever injured, folks, do me a favor. Check these guys out. And the reason you should check them out is because why? They win. Over $30 billion, like I said, in recovery. This is what makes them the number one injury law firm in all of America. Family here in Pennsylvania got $26 million in recovery when an insurance company came in and said, hey, wait a minute here. We want to give you $650,000 in a settlement. No way. Morgan & Morgan went out, got their attorneys. Clancy Boland, the crime fighter in Philadelphia, will tell you all the time, that's how we do business here. Down in Florida, family got $12 million in recovery. That is exactly why they do great things for families across the country, is getting proper settlements for families. They don't get paid, okay, unless they win. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's FORthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sales sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica, who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
Eagles. Eagles.
Love Howard Eskin. What did Howard say about when we asked him about Hurts? He's a good player. He's a good player, you know. His Pro Football Focus, man. Wow. Biggest weakness of the team, the quarterback. Hey, not me. I'm not saying that. I would never say such a thing. Yeah. I would never say such a thing. Oh, me? Oh, my God. Would that be great? Mikey, I'm going to write this down because I forget everything. A battle royale with Eskin and Cataldi. What do you make of that, Xander? What about that? If there's one guy who could work that, I can get that. Angelo, by the way, we might have to sell tickets to something like that. I'm going to work on that. He just sent me a text. And he's watching. Oh, get this. Guess what he just said, Xander? Guys, guess what he just said? He said that WIP made him block me. Now he's gonna follow me on Twitter. Wow. Just, I don't know. There's certain things that just pop up, and I don't really know why. You know, I really don't. I don't know why things like that happened. Wanted to see Cooper at safety. He started at safety. Wow. Another radio company made a host block me. Oh, no wonder John McMullen doesn't want to come on the program. I don't blame him. I'll play it. Not Sileo. Truth, justice, and the Big Sills way. By the way, our friend John Morgan will join us at the bottom of the hour. Cataldi and Eskin. Oh, I had forgotten this. Oh, yes, George Soros. Oh, yeah. All right. So wait a minute. May I reset something here? Yeah. Greatest roster in the National Football League right now is your Philadelphia Eagles. A number one roster. Great running game. Excellent coordinator on defense. Great O-line coach. Unbelievable. Who's the guy I'm missing? How come anywhere in here? Get this. Help me out on something here. What's the one name I'm missing? Let's see. Biggest strength. There's Vic Fangio's name. Okay. Let's see. Nick Sirianni's name is anywhere. Funny, I don't see Nick Sirianni's name. Oh, and by the way, breaking news. As once again, Big Sills is right. Let's see the highest paid head football coaches in pro football. Howard Eskin believes he's signed a 3-year contract at $15 million. Highest paid NFL head coaches. By the way, $15 million is not horrible. So let's see here. Here we go. So the highest paid guys. Here we go. Andy Reid, 20. Sean Payton, 18. Mike Tomlin, 16. Jim Harbaugh, 16. Sean McVay, 15. It makes him a top 5 paid NFL head coach. Congratulations to you. Ain't making no 19 mil. That guy's making 15 million. Congratulations. I was off by 2 million. No, $1.5 million actually, because I said 13.5. He's saying it's 50. Off by $1.5 million. By the way, Twist says fake news. No, here it is. There's Vic Fangio's name. He should still boost an elite defensive unit under Vic Fangio in 2025. Biggest offensive weakness. I thought Dick Sirianni was an offensive guru. How come he ain't helped the passing game? What happened? Is it him or the quarterback? Is it him or the quarterback? I didn't lie. None of it's posted. He thinks it's 15. I still think it's 13.5. Okay? It's not posted. They're not going to post that. Yeah. Let me see here. Where's Vic's name? I don't know. Where's the next name? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. All right. Let's take a look at the NFC East. By the way, John Morgan's going to join us in a couple minutes. So let's take a look at the NFC East according to PFF. So the Eagles supposedly have the best roster in the NFL. Do I agree? I just don't know what they got on defense. But then again, these other teams, I think they got bigger question marks. So has that gap changed? They may have question marks, but do other teams have bigger question marks? That's what Pro Football Focus is telling you. They've lost players. There's no getting around it. They've lost players. So let's see here. The Cowboys roster, the Giants roster, the Bucs have the 10th best roster according to them. Here's the Washington Commanders. By the way, here you go. This is awesome. Strength of the Washington Commanders. Quarterback, Jaden Daniels. The weakness of the Eagles is the quarterback. Daniels was the centerpiece of the Washington miraculous run to the NFC Championship game, who, by the way, yours truly predicted would win the East. I was wrong on that. But they got to the NFC title game. See here. After going second overall in the 24 NFL draft, Daniels' dynamic dual threat ability allowed him to rank 5th among qualified quarterbacks. 90.6 according to PFF. This ain't me talking. Overall grade. He posted a league best 1.5% turnover-worthy play rate that led all quarterbacks. It missed 15 tackles trying to get him on the ground. That's elite. Wow. Unbelievable. What a great performance. Considering this guy was a rookie, truly giving one of the greatest rookie seasons in the history of quarterbacking. Biggest weakness, the D-line. They didn't help themselves out by getting rid of Jonathan Allen. The Commanders' defensive line was 31st in the NFL in PFF grade last year, largely because of a poor run defense. Edge defender Armstrong was the only qualifying player who earned at least a 65% overall grade. Washington didn't make a ton of defensive acquisitions too. Again, here's my problem. You didn't really upgrade that D-line this offseason. I mean, would you think the Eagles got worse because you got rid of Mekhi Becton? That I do not believe. That's going to be an Achilles for Washington, in my opinion, this year, is going to be that defensive line. I mean, they have got to be better, man. And that defensive line. X factor, Marshawn Lattimore. Man, A.J. Brown, every time that dude lines up on him, he eats that guy for lunch. The Commanders acquired Lattimore before last season's trade deadline to improve a minorly struggling cornerback unit. Unfortunately, he battled a hamstring. I thought that was going to be a problem, and his conditioning turned out to be a problem. He played in only the team's final 5 games, including the postseason. A return to health. He's a great player. He's just got to play healthy. That was the big problem when he was in New Orleans, is that he wasn't healthy. They ended up drafting that kid, Josh Connerly. Figures to compete for right tackle and potentially give them some pretty good bookends. I mean, you put him at right tackle, plus you have Tunsil at the other tackle. My opinion, that should help that unit out a little bit there. I think they're improved. I like Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler in their backfield, and also Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel. I mean, Zach Ertz still has something in the tank. I thought he played well last year, but that defensive front, Deron Payne's got to be better. I mean, if they're going to contend for the East this year, he's got to be better. I mean, he's just got to be better. Do I agree with them overall? They have him ranked 11th. That sounds about right to me when it comes to their roster. That does. That sounds about right. I still think they're going to win the East because until I see the Eagle defense on the field, we'll know after the first month of the season. Here's the Cowboys, the biggest strength. Look at this here. How many times have I been telling you guys this? The biggest strength of the Dallas Cowboys is PFF talking. It's their pass rush. I mean, people keep telling me Michael Parsons is a generational guy, right? Well, how can you be a generational guy when you can't play the run and you get your face kicked in? How can you? You're not a transitional player and you're not a generational player. Let me give you a generational player. A generational player is Lawrence Taylor. That's what a generational player is. Plays the run, pass, the ability to be able to go and win ball games. I mean, that guy could carry a football team on his back from the defensive side of the ball. Micah Parsons, when I see that, I mean, their biggest problem is run defense, like I said. And they've got to be able to do one thing. They got to be able to run the football. All right. Guys, we love talking to our friend John Morgan. And I got to tell you something here. I'm about ready to do this. So I saw John Morgan say, I think he compared Barack Obama to like Michael Jordan or something like that. Well, I'm going to say this. I believe that John Morgan has got to run for governor of the state of Florida. Okay? You know why? Here. He wants to legalize weed. I don't know if he wants to legalize gambling. Not sure of that yet. But John Morgan did this. And for the record, hey, I'll tell you flat out, John went like this. You know, I know the difference between a sea lion and an otter. Come along, you're an otter. All that said, let's bring in the great John Morgan here, who does not support otters. That is never going to happen. John, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good.
John, do you have is there any political ambition? I mean, if we watch what we're seeing with the guy from The Apprentice, I mean, it looks like anybody could be the president of the United States. I mean, and you being more qualified than anybody else in the state of Florida right now. I mean, especially with the Democrats not having a lot of talent on that side of the aisle right now. They're in desperate need, either you or Mark Cuban or somebody. I mean, nothing's out of the realm of possibilities today. Would you ever think of getting into politics?
You know, they want me to here in Florida. They're bugging me. They've done a lot of polling and all that. In Florida, I ran 2 constitutional amendments to legalize medical marijuana, and the other one was to raise the minimum wage from $8 to $15. So when I did that, I think people are like, oh, he's in the political arena. So yeah, and I do, listen, I've been gambling since I had a paper route in Lexington, Kentucky. I used to go, I'd finish my route on Saturday and I'd go to Jack's barber shop, and Jack had these teaser cards. You know what a teaser card is?
Oh, yeah.
You add 10 points, and if you picked, to any spread, you add 10. And I'm like, I remember as a kid going over there, I said, now tell me how this works. You get to add 10 points to the spread, and all you got to do is pick 3. And I go, it's taking candy from a baby. I don't think I ever won one. And then I'd go across the street to the Toddle House, and I'd fill it out, and I'd take my dollar and go back and give it to Jack the barber. And so I've been gambling since I was 10 years old. And I don't have a problem with gambling. In Florida, the Indians control all the gambling. They
no
got
doubt.
They got it locked up. But look, man, it's like the horse is out of the barn. FanDuel, Fan Kings, Las Vegas. I mean, what are we talking about? Racetracks everywhere. It's here. It's over. Listen, I had at my house here at the beach last week. I had Bobby Bowden's son came over here. Terry Bowden came.
Oh, yeah.
And he's getting ready to do a podcast. I don't know if you follow what he's getting ready to do.
Oh, yeah. He's going to do, I believe, Sports Grid.
And Terry's, he was at Auburn for 10 years. But basically, Sports Grid is all wrapped up in gambling. I mean, it's like, it's all about gambling now. And now you can gamble as the game goes on. So, am I for gambling? It's here. It's done. What are we talking about? If I want to gamble, I drive down to Tampa to Hard Rock and play blackjack.
John, let me throw this at you. Do you think sports is a reflection of society, or do you think it's the escape nowadays from society, where now that you see politics involved in it, and I tried to take the politics out of it, because people barely come to me for my sports. That's what my wife says, my sports takes, John, let alone my political takes. So, I mean, sports seems to me, John, to be the only last place where you can have Democrats and Republicans in one building, not trying to kill one another, say at the Swamp, watching a football game. Is sports more of a reflection of the society, or do you think it's an escape from it?
Here's what I think sports is. Most people don't get to win and lose every single week when they go to work. They don't get to win or lose. That's why you have so many assholes on Little League fields and Pop Warner fields, because they don't get to win or lose. They get to go out there and coach, and that's why you have some jerks. You have to win or lose every week. You have to have ratings. You have to have people watching. You have to have stations picking you up. Every day, you're on the line. But for most Americans, they put in their 40 hours, and nothing changes. They don't get to win or lose. They punch out the buttons, they punch the card out, they go home. What sports allows us to do is to vicariously win and lose and suffer and be a team. That's why when you look at Cleveland, it's 0 degrees and people got their shirts off and their faces painted orange and they're barking in the dog pound. In colleges, it's about winning or losing. We as people have a desire to compete and we have a desire to win or lose. The agony of defeat, the thrill of victory. Remember that?
Oh,
You
yeah.
might be too young for that one. But that's what sports is all about. It's a tribe. It's we get to win together. You're standing there in the arena. A total stranger turns around and you're high-fiving. You're high-fiving people that you don't know, but you're all, together. And that is, you just, all you have to do is watch it. It's something that we need as people. And so that's what I think why the sports is, and that's why I think that NIL is going to be okay in the end, because even though we know it's been bastardized, and even though we know that Cooper Flag is making more money than anybody, we're still going to do it because we want to win or lose, and that's our team. That's our tribe. But what we need to be mad about today, Dan, I don't know if you've heard this or talked about it. They fired the Knicks coach.
Why?
Because James Dolan is a DICK.
Oh my God!
I just got Grant Hill just sent me this. He's fired.
Oh, they did. They just can't.
And they told him
just
yesterday.
can't Thibodeau.
Yeah, I'm giving you breaking news from Florida, and James Dolan. And
it's the best run in 25 years.
And has been to the playoffs like 4 out of 5 years there. And are you ready for this? Here's the best part. The Leon Rose, because in my text back and forth, there's a guy named Michael Stewart who played basketball.
Yeah.
Yogi. And so I said, wasn't Leon Rose a sports agent? Stewart writes me back here a few minutes ago. He goes, he was Tibbs's agent. The president of the Knicks was Tibbs's agent. And yesterday they said he was. And then one of the guys on my chain said, when they say you're safe, that's the kiss of death. So the New York Knicks have just fired a guy who did the impossible after 25 years.
That's incredible. And John, just to give you a little bit of an insight, the senior basketball advisor to the Knicks is Worldwide Wes. Worldwide Wes is a friend of mine who used to come down to the University of Miami all the time and sell sneakers. This is before he became an agent at CAA and all them guys, and now he's one of the most powerful guys, and he's the executive. You got to work for a guy like James Dolan, who cares what people are putting on signs in the seats and the stands at MSG, and you're not looking about the product on the court. You know why the Knicks suck? John, you say this all the time. Leadership trickles down good and bad.
Yeah.
And that's why the Knicks don't go anywhere or won't go anywhere. But he doesn't really have to worry about it, does he, John? Because, again, it's one of the most valued franchises. Is he really concerned about winning, or is he concerned about valuation of his franchise going up? Because that guy doesn't want to win, John.
Well, he's a terrible human being. And look, you know how you become a billionaire? Your dad leaves you $10 billion and you screw it up, and you have. I mean, this guy was born with a silver spoon stuck so far up his, that it was coming out of his throat.
Wow.
And he's a disaster. He's a disaster. He's a buffoon. And this, to me, I just looked at him and go, what more can you do? What more, you beat the damn Celtics.
No doubt.
You beat the Celtics. The whole thing.
It's the first time in 16 years, John, they've been to a conference final.
I thought it was 25. I don't know. But listen, for all you Sixer fans.
Might have been.
I thought it was 25. For all you Sixer fans, today's a good day. I'll tell you what. Somebody's going to pick him up fast.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, John, let me ask you this. Do you think the finals, OKC, which starts on Thursday versus Indiana, do you think, John, that's good for sports? Do you think there's going to be eyeballs on it? Now, look, you know this as well as anybody, John. This is how Donald Trump won the election. He didn't give a shit about New York and California. He cared about Middle America, and he cared about well, at least appeasing Middle America and appeasing the South. That's the sports fan base in this country. That's solely the NFL's fan base. And when I see something like that,
right, just
OKC versus Indiana.
Look at the SEC while you're at it. So
No doubt. The SEC is the modern day Premier League, like in soccer.
The SEC, everybody else ought to not play.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe Michigan and Ohio State. Everybody, I mean, you move Michigan and Ohio State in the SEC and fold the rest of college football because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
But
it doesn't. Yeah. Well, John, do you think that's good? Because I'll get to that with the SEC because
I know
what do you think, John? Is that good for is that good for sports?
Them winning. Look, it's not the best because you want those big markets. I mean, look, California is a country. California's economy is bigger than Russia's. New York is New York.
No doubt.
When you lose those, but I tell you, I don't mind this. The Pacers are going to get wiped off the face of the earth. Off the face of the earth. I mean, if Halliburton can't score 30 points, I mean, there's no chance. And he's not seen the defense that he's going to see from OKC. I mean, they are swarming. It's glue. And so I like both teams. I like the players on both teams. Enjoy watching the game, but I believe that this could be a 4-0 or 4-1 quick.
Wow. Okay.
OKC. OKC.
John, you just said something that I completely 1,000%. And I'm friends with Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference. And he said this in Destin this past week. He goes, I don't even know why we're in the NCAA. I have no understanding. All of our schools in the SEC now that you've got Oklahoma and Texas in there, they made $65 million profit, John, on top of their expenses, which is like I saw A&M paid $200 million in their sports. Look at the Gators. Holy cow. That program spends enormous money when it comes to their funding of their sports programs. You tell me, why should the SEC be in college football and have it in the NCAA when the NCAA may be holding the SEC back, John? Get the Big Ten, like you said, Clemson, Miami, Florida State, bring them in, and Notre Dame and the rest of them.
I got some bad news for you. I ain't bringing Miami in.
Why not?
It's just not top tier anymore, Dan.
John?
Listen, when the stadium is half empty, there's no half empty stadium in the SEC, Dan. I know.
I hate when you're right.
I know what you're saying, but when your team, when a high school fills up a stadium in Miami on Friday night more than you are not ready for SEC prime time. I'm sorry. I see the shirt you got on. I see the jerseys behind you, but that was then. This is now, baby.
I think, John, I've said it 100 times, and you're right. Somebody asked me a question the other day, Sills, where would you play college football today?
Yeah, Notre Dame.
And you know what? I'm going to abstain from that question. As my lawyer, John, I'm taking and pleading the fifth.
If you're an elite athlete coming out right now, Miami,
John, if I'm playing in the Southeastern Conference,
right. That's the whole game. Or Michigan and Ohio State, maybe Notre Dame. Look, I'm Catholic like you, but I think Notre Dame gets a pass because they play a crummy schedule. The SEC,
totally.
Every week it's a bloodbath.
They would be Vanderbilt, John. If they were in the SEC, they'd be Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Who would beat Vanderbilt?
No, they would be Vanderbilt.
Oh,
Notre Dame.
Yes. I thought you said they beat. I was like, no, they would not necessarily beat Vanderbilt. I'm like, I thought that was a leap. But look, I grew up loving Notre Dame. All of us Catholic boys did. Yep. But that is, and I love the coach there. But look who they're playing. I mean, it's like
Marshall,
Puff, K-Puff. I mean, every once in a while you
Yep.
see Stanford. I mean, they have trouble with Air Force and Navy. I mean, with no disrespect, Notre Dame has come and gone, but it's Notre Dame. I mean, they got their own deal with NBC. It's Notre Dame. They got all of us Catholics that were watching we're all up in the middle of the night looking for the white smoke to come out of the Vatican. We'll damn sure stay up and watch Notre Dame.
John, let me throw this at you here. The NFL, help me out on this. Every single sport, John, is losing viewers. NBA, Major League Baseball, pick one. The NHL is like, it's a novelty thing. In Florida, it's not bad when it comes to the Panthers and the Bolts. I mean, they've won cups the last couple of years, but what and why is the NFL the only Teflon league where they don't lose numbers? John, I heard this. I heard Jerry Jones writes this down on a cocktail napkin along with Bob Kraft. They tell them, no. This is what you're going to pay in TV rights, where the other leagues have to negotiate. Why is the NFL such a dominant league? Is it because the way they run the business? Is it the parity in the league where all 32 teams make the same amount of money because they like parity, which I call it mediocre football at times? Why does that sport run America? John, the top 50 TV shows in America are NFL football games. Why?
Well, more and more gambling. And Dan, you don't only just gambling throughout the entire game, you're gambling in the fourth quarter. Yes. You are engaged all the way. Easier to bet there than like baseball. Look, baseball was America's pastime. Today, football is America's pastime. We have to be honest about that. America loves football the most. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's because, look, there's 17 games. I mean, baseball, 162. It's just, I'll tune in September. But I mean, it's like, who cares right now? Basketball is kind of the same way. The problem with basketball is you really don't need to watch that until the fourth quarter with 3 minutes to go.
Wake me up in June.
Yeah, wake me up in June and wake me up in the fourth quarter in June. And by the way, hold it till 3 minutes to go, because the NBA, I mean, you'll be watching a team, they're down by 25 points in the first quarter. You turn back on in the last, they're going to win by one. What happened? These 3-point shots. Or what I would do if I was a commissioner of the NBA? I would have, because these guys can make it, I would have a 4-point shot from the half court line or back. Steph Curry's throwing things from the locker room.
I saw it.
Do you see that? He's throwing that big Don. What's the big guy from Denver? He's throwing like in baseball. He's throwing it in the from the baseline. Yeah, he's throwing it from the baseline. I'd say, listen, we got a 3-point line. We got a 4-point line, and I'd have a 5-point line. If you're standing out of bounds in a full length of the court, you don't even have to inbound it, but you can throw it, and if it goes in, you get 5 points.
The total showman is John Morgan there.
Hey,
man.
Savannah Banana, baby.
John, I do want to throw this back, and I want to go back in the political arena here a little bit. Why, when I tune on politicians and I'm watching something on CNN or Fox News and I'm watching, why do I look at Instagram accounts and X accounts and I'm looking at politicians today like athletes, movie stars? I mean, they've got followings like Taylor Swift now. I mean, it's almost like, they're no longer just politicians. They're celebrities now. John, these people have like followings now, and it looks more celebrity stuff, and it doesn't look like they're really serving the people. They're self-serving themselves. Am I wrong when I say that? They're just like TV stars.
They're different now. Hollywood is like where the cheerleaders and the athletes, that's their prom. The nerds are in Washington. You know, the nerd prom is Washington. The cool prom is Hollywood. Another cool prom would be, the ESPYs. But the nerds have taken over DC. They become celebrities, and they're on TV, and they're basically, all of them are just rented. They're just rented by special interest to, and we all think, oh, this is got, no, you're not going to be helped out. The only people going to be helped out are the people who wrote the checks. All these issues like transgender swimming and woke and DEI, all that's just a smokescreen, and it's a Trojan horse. What they really want is to get the Trojan horse in there and then have these massive tax cuts. They're going to bury our country in debt forever and ever. So the top 0.01% can get new jets and can have tax deductions and tax. That's what it's all about. And the people go and say, I'm mad about transgender swimmers. And I understand. And they vote about transgender swimmers. Like, okay, good. Now what? Now we're going to have a $5 trillion deficit with this new tax bill. Do you see? I mean, Elon Musk has gone off the reservation today over it. But it's just politics. And, that's why people don't vote, because they don't think it matters to them. They don't think it matters who's in there. They're going to get screwed this way, and they're going to get screwed that way.
Absolutely. Eggs and bread topics and table topics is what people care about. Now, John, I want to finish with this here. I need your help on something, okay? And you're going to be the determining factor on this. So indulge me here. I've got my final National Football League College Football Hall of Fame voting ballot here. And I've checked Des Bryant, Aaron Donald, Ken Dorsey, Craig Ironhead Hayward, Deshaun Jackson. I got Cam Newton. I got Simeon Rice.
Cam Newton for Hall of Fame?
This is for the Hall of Fame. Yes, College Football Hall of
Fame. You say
you
voted for college
I'm
football.
I'm going to. Richard Seymour, Ndamukong Suh, Jonathan Vilma, and Peter Warwick. And I have one name that I had to run by you before I end up sending this in. Brad Culpepper is on this. And I got an interesting call from Brad. And I said, I'm going to have to pass this by my godfather here, because I saw an article that you only prosecute or you only go to court one time in 6 years or every year. And I said, I saw a quote of that. So I had to clear this with John Morgan before he goes, you're kidding. I go, no, John's a fixture now in my life again here. And not that he never has, but I have to clear this. So does Brad Culpepper get your endorsement?
100%. And listen, I love Brad Culpepper. I love his wife, Monica, more.
Monica's awesome.
Her father passed away this last week.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Owen Frakes. When we were young, Owen and I used to play basketball at the Y at lunch. So I sent her a note. But Brad's son, Rex, works for Morgan & Morgan in Tampa. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not. I know Rex. I know Honor. They all went on to become like really great. I mean, we're close to the family.
Rex wasn't he at Syracuse?
Syracuse, yeah. He played up there. He played quarterback. I know the daughter was a big star too. Yeah. So
listen, I if anything to do with Brad and Monica Culpepper and his family, I am 100% for, and I'd vote him first every day. So tell Brad.
Well, John, I am going to text you because I just sent it in. By the way, Clancy Boland just said, once again, John Morgan is killing it on the show here. So hang on here. I'm sending you the ballot, John, so you can look at the phone right now. And the ballot has just been sent in, and you'll see it. and I'm going to send it to Brad and go, yes, John Morgan gave his endorsement.
The Godfather has spoken.
You got it. So we gave him our vote for the College Football Hall of Fame.
And by the way, he deserves it.
He does. He had a great career at Florida, especially
and quite frankly, I felt Brad, because he was not as big as a lot of people, but he overachieved in that.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Brad's a beast. The only problem I have with Brad is this: when he worked with me, we'd have functions, but before the dinner was over, before whatever's over, somehow there'd be some screaming, and they'd look over, and Brad would have taken his shirt off because he wants everybody to see his shirt off, and then he's walking on his hands, doing handstands during dinner at the ballroom, and at the first time we were like, oh wow, Brad's got his shirt off. After a while, it's like they're like, I can hear scream behind me. They go, are you going to look and see what's going on? I said, I don't need to look. I know what's happened. Culpepper's taking his shirt off and he's walking on his hands.
My wife is laughing. John, that is great stuff. As always,
I love Brad. And Monica.
Absolutely. Love her too.
He got the wife of all wives. Did you see her on Survivor? Did you see him on Survivor? I mean, she was the queen of Survivor.
I know. I thought you were going to say the only problem I had with Brad was he hangs out with otters. Okay.
Well, his brother-in-law's an otter, but the brother-in-law's son is a great baseball player.
I heard he's a big-time prospect.
A big time. Now, the otter played soccer, so I don't know who taught the kid how to play baseball, but
you're never going to stop. You know why, John? You know what? You can say anything you want because you know why? What's the line? John Morgan's everywhere.
Well, everybody knows. Listen, I don't say anything maliciously. I wouldn't hire Brad Culpepper's son if I didn't love Brad Culpepper. So I'd do anything in the world for Brad. If Brad was broke down in Alaska, I'd drive and go pick him up.
Absolutely.
If Brett was broke down in Alaska, I'd send money for a Greyhound bus to bring him back. I wouldn't make the drive. I'd get him back.
Oh my God.
I'd put him
John,
on a Greyhound.
Please, I got to go. And I love you so much, man.
Right.
I hope you'll do it again next week with us. You're so good. You always find time for us. That was just epic. Thank you so much, John.
Tell Clancy Boland he needs to get his ass down here and do it next week.
Clancy, and when that guy speaks, man, Clance, I'll say one thing to you. One thing, don't ever have him say this. You shot the pooch, dude. You shot the pooch.
You know what the great thing about Clancy that you might not know? He loves his father. He is a family guy.
I love it.
That's
John,
what I love about Clancy. All right.
I'll see you next week, John. Thank you, my friend.
Right. Bye-bye.
You got it. That's the great John Morgan. Yeah. You never want to have that. Shoot the pooch. Holy cow. Brad's got his shirt. Just to tell you a little bit here, real quick. My daughter's on a golf cart, and we're hanging out with the Culpeppers. Brad says something, I don't know. And my daughter looks over at Brad and goes, "What a jerk!" And my kid must have been 10. Holy cow. Great stuff as always, man. You guys are great. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. We can't thank you guys enough. That was awesome, man. Again, tomorrow, 2 to 6. Clance, you better get down there, man. Okay? I call you Philadelphia's crime fighter. I don't know, man. He did say this, though. You don't want Clancy picking the phone up going the show. Thank you so much, Clance. We appreciate everybody. Big Z and Joe, thank you. And 2 to 6 tomorrow. Please hit the like button on the way out, and we'll see you on the flip side.